I think it's running out. I better give it another wind. Let's wind this puppy up again. And this is, if you don't remember this, this really cool music box. This was a gift from Alberto's family from Texas. Very, very nice. Yeah, Alberto is the one that I ended up preparing a FOF 130-64, and he had sent it to me. If you remember that machine, it ended up getting damaged when it was shipped from Texas, the Dallas area, to Oconto. One of the pedestal feet on the bottom, that's cast metal, got snapped off. So I had to do my regular workshop magic to the machine plus mend that leg. And when he got it back, he was so excited about it. He showed it to his sister. That was a big mistake because his sister right away fell in love with this 130-6 FOF machine that had that embroidery kit mounted to the back of it. And he reached back out and he said, I know you said these machines are hard to find, but could you find one more for my sister? So I did. I found one more FOF 130-6 for his sister, and they delighted in sitting in front of those two machines that were nearly identical, and they would do different projects together. And from what the family told me, before Alberto passed away, uh, he had so many joyful moments in front of that FOF 130-6 that came out of this workshop, and shared those moments with his sister that had the same machine that I prepared for her from the workshop as well. So the family, out of appreciation, sent me this lovely keepsake. It apparently was one of Alberto's favorite music boxes with a sewing theme to it that he had in his sewing space in their home. So I really do treasure this piece. And I thought periodically I would pull it out and start out live streams with it just so we can enjoy that music box sound. There's nothing quite like a music box, is there? Well, let me say good morning to some folks, and I'll also change the angle of the camera a little bit so we can get a glimpse of this machine that belongs to Mary from Wisconsin. I hope I don't kill anything on the camera here. I'll eventually get it. Eventually. I'm getting close. Becoming a master manipulator of this this boom snaky thing that Emma sent me. Almost figuring this thing out. Getting really close. I almost figured it out. Yeah. All right. We're almost there. We're so close. We're almost there. Oh, really? I'm going to stop there for now. Oh, these things are a little bit of a challenge to manipulate. If you could see what I was doing on my end, it looks like a combination of a chiropractor and an origami specialist as I'm twisting and bending this snaky thing to try to get this camera to point at least remotely in the right direction. At least remotely. Why not, right? So let me see what I can do with this long cord that's dangling. See if I can pull this long cord so that it's a little bit more manageable. And I hope I don't disconnect this today. I hope. So what are we looking at through the camera right now? Who wants to type in the live chat what model this is? And I put it in the title of the live stream, so it's not like I'm asking you a super difficult question. But this machine has a really cool history to it on how it came onto the scene for the Singer Sewing Machine Company. And I'm going to share some of those particulars with you so that you're more knowledgeable about this particular model. This particular model, whatever kind of model it is, I'm going to move this over here. And the other thing neat about this machine, oh, wait a second, I got to do something real quick. The other neat thing about this machine, so class is officially in session now. Anyone that shows up late after the bell rings has to go to one of the moderators. And you'll see their name in the live chat. They've got the little wrench in front of their name. Go to them and say, hey, would you be so kind to give me a late pass so I don't need to go to summer school? Yeah, because summer school is not going to be about sewing. It's going to be about some boring subject. Who knows what? So, yeah, you don't want to go to summer school. Don't go to summer school. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, let me take a quick look at the live chat and say good morning to some folks. Let me do that right now. And it looks like the first one out of the gate today was my dear friend, Christine from Canada. Hey, Christine from Canada, I hope you're doing well, dear. I know that you've been busy up there in Canada. And I hope your work in the jobs you're doing is going well and all the other stuff that you're managing. And hopefully those people up there have gotten a little bit more reasonable about what they're trying to get for fuel cost up there. If you didn't know it, Canada is in a fuel cost crisis right now, and have been for a while. And they're just charging ridiculous rates to keep people's homes warm in the winter. What's going on with that? So yeah, send Christine some firewood or something else in the mail to help her stay warm so she doesn't have to pay all of those ridiculous fuel prices. Canada, what's going on? Ah! All right, let me say good morning to some folks here. All right, so Christine, good morning to Christine, and good morning to Susie from Minnesota, and my friend Candido from the great state of New York. Good morning to Candido. And good morning to Mesa Group. I believe that is AKA Bill, and hopefully Bill is still doing wonderfully with his new puppy. If you don't know about Bill's puppy, ask him about it. Gorgeous, gorgeous dog. Oh my goodness. He shared pictures. I shared them on Facebook, and everyone is like, oh my gosh, that is the most gorgeous dog ever. Amazing. Good morning to who else? Good morning to, I'm losing names. Where are they all? Macavella 27. Macavella 27, good morning to you. And good morning to Robin. Good morning to Robin. Robin also has a beautiful dog named Levi. And I'm the only one in the whole world that has ever seen a picture of Levi. I am on the inner circle with Robin. Yeah, I am. Gorgeous dog. And by the way, Robin shared a picture of Levi with me wearing one of Susie's hats, because Robin also got one of Susie's super cool hats. Bill got a hat. Rhea got a hat in Holland. Oh my goodness. These hats that Susie made in Minnesota are going everywhere. Everywhere. It's amazing. Who else do we have? I'm looking. Good morning to Al Casa as well. Good morning to Al. These glasses are not working. I better put on something else. The screen looks all blurry. It looks like there's 3 of you in each of the categories. Hold on. I better put on different glasses. Otherwise, I'm going to sew my finger today. Let's see. Who else? Good morning to Sunny. Good morning to Sunny out there in the great state of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Good morning to Kevin. Kevin and Doreen from the great state of Iowa. Good to have you folks here as well. Who else do we have? I think I said hello to everybody. I think I did. I think I said hello to everyone. So Susie is already taking the initiative to do it. if anyone wants to be live on the live stream, if anyone wants to be live on the live stream, you can text me or you can call me like the old radio shows. If you call me, I'll put you on speaker so everyone can hear the question or the comment that you have, but I won't show your number. I'm not going to be giving your number out so that random people start calling you and saying, "Oh, you've got a nice voice. You've got a nice voice. Can we go for coffee?" No, that's not going to happen. We look out for our family here, so I'm going to protect your identity. I'm not going to show your number, but I'll let everyone hear your lovely, melodious voice, your lovely melodious voice, and you can ask your question, you can make your comment, and then you will forever be a part of this live stream so that others that watch the video afterwards will be able to hear your lovely melodious voice, and they'll go, "Boy, I'd like to have coffee with them," but they won't know how to contact you. Now, it's going to be a secret. It's going to be our secret. Yeah, it will. So, at any rate, this machine that we're looking at, hopefully you've already typed in the live chat that this is a class 66 model. It's a class 66 model, and it belongs to my friend Mary from Wisconsin, and she and her family live on a farm. They work a farm. They have a Facebook page for their farm, and it's like a big deal. So if Mary is able to join the live chat, I know that she just sent me a text and she said, "This is going to be a family thing today because it's on Saturday." She's going to be in the live stream and watching this. Maybe her husband will be as well. Her kiddos are going to be watching the live stream as well. So if anyone wants to just type into the live chat for fun, "Hey, Mary's kiddos, what's up? How you doing?" And, maybe ask her if she joins the live chat, ask her a little bit about the farm. I don't know what she has on the farm. I don't know if they grow crops. I don't know if they tip cows. I don't know if they have horses. I don't know what they do, but they've got a farm and it's in Wisconsin, somewhere around down near Appleton. And Appleton, as you know, I travel down there periodically to go to the paint shop to paint machines. Now, I did not do that for Mary's machine. I just tried to clean up the paint a little bit. This is original paint. This is original decals. And then I also hand polish all of the chrome on this machine as well. That's why this machine that's getting ready to celebrate a birthday really soon, really, really soon. This machine is getting ready to have a birthday. So go out and buy balloons. Go out and buy some cake and some cups and some other fun stuff for Mary's machine that is getting ready very soon to celebrate a birthday. What's the big deal about a birthday? When you get to a certain age, no one gets excited about birthdays anymore, do they? Well, we should get excited about the birthday for Mary's machine. Do you know why? Because this machine in a couple of months is going to be turning 100 years old. 100 years old! I got to ring the bell again. This is celebratory. This is a big deal. I'm not even going to ring the small bell. I'm going to ring the big bell. Yeah. So this machine is going to be turning 100 years old. You'd never know it by the way it looks. And I've been so busy this week, I haven't even had a chance to post all of the progress pictures, almost 200 progress pictures showing what I did for Mary's machine, the process, the steps of the workshop magic that I took this machine through. It needed a lot of love. It needed a spa day. It needed a lot of attention, a lot of attention. Oh my goodness. This machine needed a lot of attention. Someone just sent me a text, I think. Hold on. So Susie from Minnesota just told me that Mary is in the chat. No idea which one Mary is. Maybe it's so simple that it says Mary, and then we know that it's Mary, but otherwise, we're gonna welcome the owner as well. How cool is it to have the owner here? And again, Mary is watching this wait for it, Mary is watching this with her kiddos on the farm. So hopefully Mary tells us a little bit about what do they do on the farm? What's going on the farm? We want to know about the farm, Mary. Tell us about the farm, would you? And ask her questions as well about this machine. How did she acquire it? What's the story on this machine? I know that she's got a treadle table waiting in the garage, she told me, for this machine to be put into, because this is going to be a treadle operated machine. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a treadle operated machine. It's not going to have a hand crank. It's not going to have a motor. It's going to be treadle powered, which is really cool. And this machine could be set up with a hand crank or with a motor if Mary ever decided to do it. But I think treadling a machine is so much cooler, don't you? But for today's purposes, guess what? I don't have the benefit of Mary's treadle table. It's in her garage. But I'm going to be putting my finger to the work of cranking this machine over and just showing you how easily this machine turns. How easily it turns. Yeah. All right, let me look. Well, there you go. Mary made it easy. Mary Williams, that's our owner right there. Mary Williams is in the live chat. She's in the live chat. Welcome, Mary, and welcome to Mary's Kiddos on the farm in Wisconsin. And we still don't know, I don't know, if Mary has cows, because you know what? This is cow country. I hope she has cows. Otherwise, let's start. Hey guys, let's do this. Let's start. I'm actually going to get into the shot here. I'm going to get into the shot. If Mary and her family, all right, where am I? If Mary and her family, yep, there I am. If Mary and her family don't have cows yet, who wants to take the initiative to start a GoFundMe page and we're going to buy Mary and her family cows? All right. I know nothing about GoFundMe pages, nothing at all. And Mary might be saying, whoa, put your brakes on, Scott. We don't need cows. We don't want cows. Who doesn't want cows? I mean, seriously, there's something seriously wrong with somebody if they don't like cows. I'll bet you right now, if Mary's kiddos are watching this with her, they're saying, Mom, they're going to buy us cows. Ah! Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, it would be really cool. So yeah, if someone wants to start a GoFundMe page to buy Mary and her family cows, I support it 100%. Unless the owner says no, then I don't support it at all. It's a horrible idea. It's a horrible idea. No cows. Or maybe cows. I have no idea. All right, back to Mary's machine. Yeah. So if someone wants to look up the serial number, please. Someone wants to look up the serial number and give us the specific birth date of Mary's Class 66 machine. I would greatly appreciate that. You could type it into the live chat. If it can be someone other than one of the leaders, that would be cool. Get someone else involved. But you know what? If it's one of the leaders and they beat you to the punch, then you got to get faster. You got to get faster. You just do. Yeah. I better shut off my air compressor before we all have a heart attack here. So with this being a Treadle sewing machine, that's Mary's intent. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me give you the serial number. I'll get there. Hold on. I'm going to type it into the live chat, and that way you'll have it specifically. And if you've already seen some of the things I threw up on Facebook, then you'll probably already know what the serial number is. You might. You never know. All right, now I'm going to get my water out. No Diet Coke today. Why am I not having a Diet Coke? Because I was running behind, and this was already down in the workshop. So I'm doing great value purified drinking water this morning. If I get the itch and I step away from the machine, it's because I'm like, I can't wait any longer. I gotta have a Diet Coke. If anyone else drinks a soda periodically in the morning, almost like a breakfast drink, like orange juice, and it's probably not a great idea, but I do sometimes. So if anyone else does that and you want to confess it to the Cow Country family, confess it now. Yeah, confess it now. Come clean with us and say, you know what? I do. I drink a Mountain Dew once in a while, or I drink a Diet Pepsi or a Diet Coke or whatever. That way I don't feel like I'm alone. That way I don't feel like I'm on my own here saying I'm the only one that's addicted to drinking a soft drink periodically in the morning. Or as my friends down in the South say, drinking a Coke. Because in the South, no matter what kind of soda you're drinking, you're always drinking a Coke. It's just a Coke. That's all it is. It can be anything. Yeah. All right. I'm going to drink some of my water real quick. Hold on. All right. And then I'm going to type the serial number before I forget. I'll type the serial number into the live chat and someone can look it up and tell us, why is Scott so crazy excited about the birthday coming up for this machine? Soon you'll know. All right. So here we go. The serial number in the live chat. All right. I almost got it. Hold on. I'm getting so close. All right. 1-5. Yeah, I got it. Ha ha. All right. There is the serial number. There's the serial number. I hope I typed it in right. G like George, 0078015. G0078015. Call now. Operators are waiting. Call now. Operators are waiting. Yeah, they are. They're waiting for us right now. Give them a call, for goodness sakes. So that's the serial number. Someone is going to be able to nail this. I know they will. Someone's going to be able to nail this and tell me when the birth date is, the size of the production group, so that we can go out and buy balloons. We can go out and buy cake and cupcakes. I know that Mary's kiddos right now, if they're in the audience, are going, yeah, more cupcakes, Mom. More cupcakes, please. So, yeah, that would be awesome. But then you'll know when the birth date is of this machine, and maybe Mary on the birthday for her machine will send me some pictures of them celebrating, having a cake, having some cupcakes, the candles are lit, the balloons are hanging up behind there. In the back window area, as you're looking out through the kitchen or wherever they take the pictures, are the cows that we bought for the family through the GoFundMe page. There's the cows, there's the balloons, there's the cake, there's the cupcakes. It can't get any better than that. Yeah. It's awesome. It's amazing. All right. So as I drink some more water, and I really am missing my Diet Coke right now. If anyone wondered, I wonder if Scott's missing his Diet Coke right now because he's drinking this water in lieu of it. The answer is yeah, I really am. I'm getting a little bit of an itch about it. I'm kind of wondering, if Herr Obermeister or one of the other gals could maybe go out and grab me a Diet Coke right about now. That would be super cool if they could do that. If they could go out and get me a Diet Coke. What do you mean, no? No? Come on. Go get me a Diet Coke out of the fridge, would you? Come on, guys. I'm not asking you for the world. I'm asking you for a Diet Coke, for goodness sakes. How about you, Mr. Bean? Will you do it? You're saying no, too? I'm not addicted to Diet Coke. I just like it sometimes in the morning. That's all. Come on, guys. Hook me up here. Help me out. All right. So let me look at the live chat real quick. See what date we're coming up with. Oh, they call it pop in Canada. They call it pop in Canada. I wonder where they call it soda. Is that a Midwestern thing? Do we call it soda in the Midwest? I know in the South they call it Coke. No matter what it is, everything is a Coke. But apparently they call it in Canada pop. P-O-P. Christina's just revealed a Canadian secret that they call their carbonated beverages pop up in Canada. Up in Canada. Hey, they call it pop in Minnesota too, but Minnesota is pretty close to Canada, isn't it? Doesn't part of Minnesota almost touch the Canadian border? They've like collaborated. The Canadians and the Minnesotans, if that's a word, have collaborated and said, hey, what are we going to call those carbonated drinks? Scott is going to ask. Well, let's call it pop. Yeah, I think that they've collaborated on that. I think there's a little bit of politics in this now, isn't there? Yeah. So whatever you call your carbonated beverage, I wonder what they call it over in the UK. I wonder what they call carbonated beverages over in the UK or in Australia or in Germany or in Ireland. We're having St. Patrick's Day coming up this week. St. Patrick's Day is coming up this week. What are they calling soda or pop over there in Ireland? They probably call it Guinness, don't they? They probably call it Guinness no matter what it is. I'm guessing. Oh, good morning to Renee, too. Yes. Yes, Renee, please. Yes. Mr. Bean won't get me a Diet Coke. Herr Obermeister won't get me a Diet Coke. Renee is going to get me a Diet Coke. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Ha ha. Renee's going to drop by. Renee is going to literally ring the doorbell on the workshop and say, here's your Diet Coke, man. She probably would, but then Hank would go crazy and you'd hear Hank upstairs going, so yeah, let's not do that. Let's not make Hank crazy today. Renee's going to put a Diet Coke on the porch. What a sweetheart. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I'll tell you what, I'll play the music box again. And in a little while, when she says, okay, it's there, then I'll go upstairs and grab it. I'll go upstairs and grab it to the chagrin of Herr Obermeister and Mr. Bean and the sweet little old lady that's part of the workshop they're shaking their fingers at me right now. They're giving me a scornful, nasty, mean look right now saying, what's up? What's up? Why can you not go without a Diet Coke? Huh? What? Oh man, that's a hoot. So did anyone guess the date? It looks like Candido came up with 1923. And 1923 is correct. 1923 is correct for Mary's Class 66 Singer machine. So that means from 1923 to 2023, that's why we're going to be celebrating a centennial birthday this year for this particular machine. But what about the specific birth date? Is anyone able to find the specific birth date for Mary's machine? What is the specific birth date so we know when to celebrate? Okay, I must have missed something. Because Robin just typed something real quick about keeping the chat clean. Do we have somebody in the chat right now that needs to get thrown into a timeout? What do we got going on, guys? I wasn't looking at the chat other than looking at Renee's comment. Renee's comment about dropping off a Diet Coke. Is there something else going on that I need to be aware of? Do I need to ban somebody from the page? Robin, can you elaborate? Robin or the moderators, can you elaborate what was going on that the moderators had to step in and clean up the chat? Do we got somebody posting stuff that's inappropriate? Yeah, May is right. This machine was born in May of 1923. But what day in May was this machine born? What day? Okay, so Robin is saying that the moderators took care of it. I'm not surprised. That's why I have complete faith and confidence in the moderating leadership team. But I'm just curious who was the party that was posting things that were not appropriate? Did they already leave the chat, or are they still in the chat right now? And I can talk after the live stream with the moderating team as far as who it was and what was done. But if I need to take additional action, the moderators have a huge amount of authority, and the moderators have a huge amount of power to take action, as they already demonstrated. But if I need to, as an admin, take additional steps to protect our family from this inappropriate posting person, whoever they are, let me know that, because I have a few more tools in my toolbox than the moderators do as the ultimate admin of the page. They've got a lot of tools, and they've got hammers and drills and other things like that, and a wrench. But I can take even additional actions as the admin if we have to do that, especially since we have Mary and her family joining us today, and we might have some kiddos watching the live stream as well. I know the moderators will take care of it, but if y'all need me to step in and do more, let me know that. Let me know that, please. So Christine from Canada is saying May 28th, May 28th, 1923, May 28th, 1923 is the date that we're going to be having a pate. We're going to be having a celebration for Mary's Class 66 machine. This machine was born back in 1923 on May 28th. On May 28th. And if it wasn't typed in the chat yet, this machine came from a production group size, which means when the factory did their run, they did their run of sewing machines for the Class 66. In this production group, there were 50,000 machines. Now, that sounds like a really big number, and it is. But 50,000 was pretty much an average run for the Singer Sewing Machine Company when they were making machines like this back in the day. They certainly made smaller production group runs sometimes, but they also made much larger runs too, sometimes up to around 100,000 machines, as the machines are buzzing down the assembly line at the factory. So this was a pretty standard run with around 50,000 machines. And one of those machines in that 50,000 run was Mary's machine from 1923 back on May 28th. So remember, mark it on your calendars, May 28th. This is a major milestone for this Class 66 that belongs to Mary from Wisconsin, because this machine right now, this machine is considered vintage. This is a vintage sewing machine. But come May 28th of this year, this machine will transition from being a vintage machine to being an antique machine. It'll go from vintage to being antique. And that's always remember, that's the distinction, because people on Facebook Marketplace, on Etsy, on Pinterest, and other places will show a machine like this that might even be younger, and they'll describe it as antique. A machine has to be 100 years old or older to be considered an antique. So this is a vintage machine right now. We're live streaming a vintage machine, but come May 28th, this will become an antique machine officially. Officially an antique. Oh, Christine said Candido already posted 50,000. So My thanks to Candido for sharing all of the information about the specific birth date and also the production group size as well. And thank goodness again for the moderating team, for the leadership team, for a variety of reasons. But they will sometimes gently nudge me and say, Scott, we already covered that. We already got it. We got it, man. We got it. So thanks again. Thanks again. I better drink some water. I'm wearing my voice out already. Thanks again to the moderating team for monitoring things and for also getting me on the same sheet of music sometimes when I don't realize something has already happened. But again, when you're running a live stream on this end and you're focused on a number of different dynamics, you miss things, don't you? So thankfully, the moderators don't miss things and they can keep me on the right sheet of music. All right, let me see. I missed. So Sunny is in the same boat with me. Sunny, who's one of our leaders on the team, she also missed the bad behavior. So I know that Susie or Emma or Christine will send me a text to kind of bring me in the loop and let me know what happened. And I'm just glad they took action. And from what Robin said, they took immediate action. That's why it's great to have such a large moderating team. Sometimes a moderator can't be here, but there's another moderator here keeping an eye on things as I'm focused over here and there's something happening behind my back. They got my back. They got my back. They have all of our backs. So thank goodness. Thank goodness for the moderating team. I say that all the time, but I can't emphasize it enough. Can't emphasize it enough. All right. So real quick, I'm going to turn on the music box again. And apparently Renee, who is local, dropped off a Diet Coke for me on the front steps of the workshop. How thoughtful, how amazingly thoughtful. So I'm going to real quick put on Alberto's music box. If you missed it in the intro, you'll be able to enjoy a little bit of music box music real quick. Oh, I see why it's not turning. I was looking at this and I was thinking, why isn't the balance wheel turning on this music box? And it's because the belt had slipped off. So yeah, it couldn't turn. It could not turn. So hopefully it turns now. When I step away real quick, I'll set this right here temporarily. Kind of angle this down a little bit. I just have to open this drawer. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little interlude of Alberto's really cool music box. Again, this is a living legacy of this really cool gentleman that I had an opportunity and a privilege to meet via text messages and phone calls and other things like that. And you might remember that Alberto retired from the government. He worked for ATF, he worked for other government agencies, and his family was obviously very proud of him for the work that he did on behalf of our country. And they wanted to send this as a thank you. So periodically, if I forget, remind me to pull out Alberto's sewing machine so we can continue to enjoy it as a living legacy of this great man that passed away, but continues to be with us and part of our family. So I go out there on the porch of the workshop, and not only did Renee drop off one Diet Coke, she dropped off 2 Diet Cokes. There they are right there. And they're not the average ones that I usually get. I usually get the standard size ones, basic ones. I'm a basic kind of guy. These are like the jumbo size ones. I didn't even know that they made these. They're jumbo size. They're like 16 ounces each. I think the other ones are like 12 ounces each. So thank you, Renee. And just to spite Mr. Bean and Herr Obermeister, I'm going to pop one right now. And then we're going to jump into the rest of the stuff on this live stream. So thank you to Renee for the Diet Cokes, 2 of them. And I'm going to take a sip of this right now because I was really missing this Diet Coke. I was just missing it. And yeah, here we go. Oh my goodness. Oh man. That is magical. This is like a superpower. This is a superpower. Thank you to Renee again. What a thoughtful thing to do. What a thoughtful thing. All right, so let me look at the live chat real quick. And then we need to get into this. With a ballerina in it. Yeah. I didn't see a ballerino, but you know what? If Christine saw a ballerina, you know what? There's probably one there. But yeah, I love music boxes. I don't know if anyone else likes music boxes or not, but I just think they're super cool. I think they're super cool. All right, let's go up here a little bit. Let's go over there. And the other thing you'll notice once I get the pictures posted on Facebook, I'll do that today. I should have already done it. I didn't do it. I should have done it by now. You'll notice how gorgeous this badge mark is on the front of here now. I kind of told Mary that because it was all crusty and nasty. You'll see that in the Facebook shots. And I hand polished it and brought it back to a point now where you almost have to wear sunglasses when you're sitting in front of this sewing machine. So yeah, just amazing, amazing, amazing brightness on there. Okay. Yeah, Susie and I are in the same boat. I didn't know they made them in 16-ounce cans either. I just have the standard 12-ounce ones, the economy size. But Renee is really smart. Apparently, she's like got an inside track somewhere, maybe with the Coca-Cola Diet Coke company. And she contacted them real quick at the beginning of the live stream. And she said, we have a crisis in Oconto. We've got a crisis in Oconto. We need 2 16-ounce cans of Diet Coke now. And then they were airdropped in to Renee. Renee picked them up real quick, brought them over. How does all this happen so quickly? It's just amazing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, wow. I can't even believe it. It's getting me so excited. I'm coughing now. Just coughing. Yeah. Amazing. What did Bill say to call him? I missed that. Bill said to call him something. Bill said to call him something. Okay. What is it? Saleo? I have no idea. All right, so it's a very, yes. All right, so let's actually move over to this almost antique machine. Let's move over to this almost antique machine. And I'm also going to give you, while I'm starting to sit down to this machine and actually put it to use, I'm also going to give you a little bit of homework that you could do on the spot if you like. So these are I'll just show you real quick. These are the sew-offs that I've already done on Mary's machine. As I got done finishing it up and I got it all calibrated and adjusted and set up and everything. Wait, there they are. So on the far left is 100% cotton with a stiffener. And then in the middle, I've got protected full grain leather. And then this is saddle grade leather over here. So that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is these Class 66 machines are incredible workhorses because of the way that they're designed and engineered. They turn when they're properly serviced and restored. They turn so silky smooth. There's like nothing at all holding back the energy that's driven down that main shaft to the needle. There's nothing holding it back. So sewing through saddle grade leather like this, or protected full grain leather, or cotton like this, is just like, I mean, it's like a walk in the park. It's so easy. It's so ridiculously easy. And we'll do some more of that during the live stream today. You can see this machine actually sewing. Mary had also included this box along with the machine. It did have some bobbins that would work with this machine in it, but it's got some other attachments in here as well, and other bobbins like this one right here that are not designed for this sewing machine. And you'll see that sometimes when you get an accessory box like this, there's a collage of different attachments and things that over time have been collected by the owner. Some of these will work, some of them won't. So the one on the, let me hold them like this. The one on the left side is the appropriate bobbin for this machine. Does anyone know what kind of bobbin this is on the left? The one on the right is not designed for this machine. So what kind of bobbin does this, I'll give you a big hint. What kind of bobbin does this Class 66 take? What do you think? What kind of bobbin does it take? The name of the machine kind of gives you a big hint, doesn't it? Well, I don't see, wait, there's somebody typed it. Christine typed in Class 66. Christine typed in it, Class 66 bobbin question mark. I love it. You gotta be a conservative sometimes, just hold back a little bit. Christine probably knows for sure that it definitely is a Class 66. And Susie had typed the same. Sheila typed the same. Yep. And you are all correct. You are all correct. It takes a Class 66 bobbin, and there are a number of Singer sewing machines that take a Class 66 bobbin. This machine was eventually replaced by another machine that Singer introduced. And that machine that replaced this Class 66 uses the same bobbin. Does anyone know what machine that is that replaced the Class 66 machine after it came on the scene very, very early? And I'll share some of those dates with you. And then if the moderators want to type that into the live chat, that way you'll have a remembrance of what those dates are in case it ever comes up on on a midterm or a test, you'll have those as crib notes that you can go back to and say, oh, yeah, yeah, we talked about the dates, and they're typed in the live chat, because I'm going to have the live chat replay on so you can look at that information again afterwards. But does anyone know what machine did Singer introduce right around 1935 that totally took over for the Class 66 after it had a really, really good long run as part of the Singer sewing machine family? And it was not the 99. That's a really good guess, Sheila. Really, really good guess. It was not the 99. Was not the 99. And it was not the Class 15 either. The Class 15 actually came on the scene earlier than the machine that replaced this one. The Class 15 came on the scene in the form of that class design right around 1932. So Class 15 came on the scene in 1932. The machine that replaced this one came on the scene about 3 years later in 1935. So I'm just going to look at the chat again, see if anyone guesses it. So the answer is, and if one of the moderators wants to type it into the live chat, the machine that came on the scene that replaced the Class 66 after it had a really long run in production was none other than the Class 201. The Class 201 came on the scene as a replacement to the Class 66. And it was immediately loved and embraced for a variety of different reasons. And most of you know by now the Rolls-Royce of Singer sewing machines that I refer to all the time. The Rolls-Royce is none other than the 201-2. And there were a number of different 201 flavors that came out during the course of the time that they produced that machine from around 1935 to 1961. And there are some sources out there, you should be aware of this, because I always talk about us fact checking each other and making sure that the information we're carrying forward into our circles of influence is accurate and correct. There are reliable sources out there that disagree as to when production stopped on the Class 201. Many of them say 1961. There are other sources that I respect that say 1964. But the long and short of it is, this beautiful machine that belongs to Mary, the Class 66, that would have come on the scene first, and this is another important thing to write down because it might pop up in a test in the future. The Class 66 was first introduced in 1902 in the US of A. It was introduced in 1902 in the United States. Later, it was introduced in the UK in 1907. So there was about a 5-year gap between when the very first Class 66 came on the scene in the US in 1902, and then finally was unveiled and presented to our friends in the UK around 1907. The production run of the UK version of the 66, which most of you probably know, is the 66K. The 66K is the one that was made in the United Kingdom, introduced in 1907. They made that until right around 1939. But again, reliable sources can disagree, or more appropriately said, they can agree to disagree agreeably. There are other sources that are respectable that argue that the UK 66 production continued longer than 1939, actually went until 1948. So I embrace both dates from a standpoint of, if I give you a test and I ask you, I'll say, when was the UK version, the 66K, first introduced in the United Kingdom? And you say 1907, and I say, when did they produce it until? If you give the answer of 1939 or 1948, you will get a correct score on the test. Now, in the US, again, I already told you they introduced the Class 66 earlier, 1902, and they produced it longer than they did in the UK, whether we accept the conclusion of production in the UK date of 1939 or whether we accept the date of 1948. Everyone agrees for the most part that they stopped producing the 66 in the United States in 1956. So someone can do the math and say, well, wait a second now. You said that the Class 201 came on the scene in 1935. The Class 201 came on the scene in 1935, and Singer released that new class, the 201, to replace the 66. But hold your horses here, Scott. You just said that in the UK, they continued to produce the Class 66 maybe as late as 1948, and they produced it in the United States until 1956. They didn't really have this machine step out of the way very quickly, did they? And the answer is no, because it was so beloved by particularly professionals like seamstresses and by tailors that they probably would have created a riot on the street if at the bell toll in 1935, when the 201 first came on the scene, if they had right away pulled the plug on the 66 model, there probably would have been riots in the street by tailors, by seamstresses, and a number of others that absolutely adored the Class 66 machine for a variety of different reasons. But it's important you know those dates. It's important you know those dates so as you step out into Facebook and other places like that, knowing that there's a lot of misinformation being distributed, you can be armed with the correct information about this Class 66 model that we're going to be sewing on today that belongs to Mary from Wisconsin. So again, for review, the Class 66 first came on the scene in 1902 in the United States. It later came on the scene in the UK right around 1907. It was in production in the UK until around 1939 to 1948. People disagree, don't they? And then it stayed in production in the United States until 1956. And you might say when the 201 eventually came on the scene in 1935, and then eventually 1956 comes, and they stop production finally on the Class 66 model, what other flavors of the 201 did they make eventually? Did they make a 201K? The answer is yes. Did they make a 201-1? The answer is yes. And it was strictly a treadle machine. Did they make a 201-2? The answer is yes. And that is none other than the Rolls-Royce of Singer sewing machines used by Rolls-Royce to sew the interior leather panels from 1948 until 1952. Did they make a 201-3? The answer is yes, and it was a belt-driven version of the 201. Did they make a 201-4 once this new class was released in 1935? They did, and the 201-4 was a hand crank. So now you're armed with a lot of important information, and the only reason I bring the 201 into the equation is because it was the machine that Singer groomed and prepared to take over the proud legacy that the Class 66 had carried for so many decades. And so it's important you understand the history of both of those machines because they're intertwined, aren't they? They're intertwined, the Class 66 and also the Class 201 as well. So hopefully you find that information helpful. I hope you do. I hope you do. I hope you do. Now, let me ask you one more quick question, and then we're going to launch into some sewing finally on Mary's machine. And that is, does anyone know, now that we're focused strictly on the 66, does anyone know how many variants of the Class 66 there were? And by variants, I mean subclasses. Just like I said, there was a 201-1, there was a 201-2, there was a 201-3, 201-4, 201K. The latter part of that number that I'm quoting is the variant. That's the subclass. Does anyone know how many subclass variants there were of the Model 66? That'll be your final question for the midterm. And if you get that, you get 10 points extra credit. Yeah, you never know, right? But don't count on Renee dropping off a Diet Coke for you as well. That's only for me. That's only for me. So, but if anyone wants to guess as far as the number of variants in the Class 66 model, it's not a super easy question. But I saw that, I think it was Candido from New York had said that, I believe he said he has a 66 dash, was it a dash 16? It might have been a dash 16 or a dash 14. I don't remember exactly what I just caught a quick glimpse of it in the live chat. But you know that there was whatever Candido type, there's at least that one variant, isn't there? But there's probably others as well. And if you want to really show off and be the teacher's pet, in a sense, you can actually put down what subclasses or what variants you know that there were, and then we'll see, we'll kind of fill in the gaps for the ones that you might miss. Oh, Candido put down 66-18. And then Christine put down she thinks that there were 24 variants of the Class 66. I don't agree with that number, but there were a high number of them. 24 is going to be a little bit too high as far as the number of variants for the Class 66. But there was I can tell you this, as far as Christine's answer, there was a 66-24. There was a 66-24. Now, Christine is so cute. She goes, "Pardon me, I meant to say 11." I love it. Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to actually rattle them off right now. I'm going to rattle off the variants that I know of. And if I miss any, then someone can add those into the live chat. And I'll actually read them off in the order that they would have been produced by Singer. I'll actually read them off in the order that they would have been produced by Singer. And Sheila's taking a different path, and she's saying, I think there were at least 18. So, we started with a possible number from Christine of around 24, and then Christine adjusted her number to 11. And now our friend Sheila is saying, I think there were around 18. So let me read them off, the ones that I'm aware of. And again, I say it all the time. Sometimes a teacher, always a student. So if I miss one, or if you feel like I missed one, then please type that into the live chat. And if you're sitting in the shadows right now and you want to join the live chat to provide some input and to share your knowledge, that's what this classroom is all about. Our classroom is about learning from each other. It's not about Scott being the know-it-all, Scott being the sewing savant, or Scott's leaders being the know-it-alls and the sewing savants. We all learn from each other. So don't be afraid. Don't be hesitant to step out of the shadows if you're in the shadows right now and share your knowledge. Because I have a list. But maybe I missed something. I might have missed something. You never know. Okay, so if someone wants to add these to the live chat, you can maybe write them down and then type them into the live chat. Or if you're an incredibly gifted typist, which I'm not, you can type them in as I read them. and then we can look at the total number that I'm aware of, and we can do a count and see what that number might look like. See what that number looks like as far as the number that Singer would have made during that production run. Again, they would have run with the Class 66 until 1956, first introducing it in 1902. So, I mean, you can do the math. That's over a half a century of producing this machine, the Class 66, over a half a century of production of the Class 66. So there were, obviously, during those 50 plus years, there were a number of variants that Singer would have come out with. And here's the ones that I'm aware of. Oh, Christine is jumping on it. Look at Christine from Canada. I love it. I love people that initiative and show leadership, and Christine is one of those, along with the other leaders on my team. So those are the ones that she just typed in, and I'm going to read mine off and then see if any of the ones that she just put in her summary, if any are missing, if any are potentially missing. Okay, and then we'll have a complete list. At least we hope it's a complete list of the 66 variants or the 66 subclasses that Singer would have made from 1902 to 1956. Okay, so here we go. Here's my list. Christine is saying, did I miss any? I can't see across the room, dear. I'm just going to read mine off and then you can let me know. Okay. So the 66-1, the 66-3, the 66-4, the 66-5, the 66-6, the 66-8, the 66-13, the 66-14, the 66-15, the 66-16, the 66-18, the 66-19, the 66-20, and finally, the 66-24. Now, the only one that I did not mention specifically in those numbered ones is the 66K that would have been made in the UK. And there was also, according to some records, there was also a 66 dash K or 66K2, a 66K2, the number 2, that some people suggest may have been in production at some point over in the UK. So those are all the ones that I have, along with the 2 that I'm aware of that would have come out of the UK. So that's between Christine's efforts, which, you know, I'm looking over at the laptop now, and she did a brilliant job of summing them up, are the ones that I added to her list. So we can get a total count now. You can look at Christine's list and you can review in your mind, or if you jotted them down as I was saying them, the ones that I just mentioned, and then we'll have a final number of the number of variants. And if you want to count in the ones from the UK as well, the 66K and the 66K2, then that would be super cool as well. But obviously, over 50 plus years of production, they're going to have quite a few different subclasses or variants, aren't they? Quite a few variants. So, at any rate, yeah, it's just nice to know, isn't it? It's nice to know, because things like this will come up in different groups that you might be a part of, either on Facebook or Pinterest or Etsy or one of those other forums. And with you being armed with the information that we just talked about, you're able to then share that information and pass it along so that others know as well. There's no power in having knowledge if we don't share it. So I shared it. Christine shared it. Sheila shared some of her insight as well, and others may have as well. If I missed them, I apologize. But with all of us sharing together, it makes us that much more knowledgeable when we step out to our circles of influence, and we can then make others more knowledgeable as well. And then they step into their circles and they make others knowledgeable, and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And that's the new math in sewing, as I call it. The new math in sewing is that 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. It equals 3 or 4 or 4,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, depending on how big your circle of influence is, as you carry that information forward and you share it with others who share it with others and share it with others, etc. So be generous in your sharing once you're armed with the truth and once you're armed with facts like this that we talked about in the live chat, etc. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody for jumping out there and contributing so that we could pull those numbers together and at least have a rough count of the class 66 that we're looking at today that belongs to Mary. Cool. All right. Super cool. All right. So let's get into this machine finally. And see what we're going to sew off on today. I'll just check my phone real quick, make sure I don't have any text messages or anything I need to respond to. Doesn't look like it. But if anyone, again, needs to get my attention, or has a question or comment, you can either text me or you can call me, and I will share your comment or your question with the rest of our friends that are in the live chat right now. Okay. And I think it was it Candido, before I jump into this, Candido, I think, was saying that he has a 6618, a 66-18. Let me just look at the live chat again. I can't get my eyes on it now. I think Candido said a -18. The -18 is going to be virtually identical to the -14. They're going to be nearly identical. The -14 is going to be a hand crank version of the 66. So the 66-14 would be a hand crank version. And the -18, if I understood correctly, that's what Candido has. Candido, again, is our friend from New York. If he has a -18, then it's going to be virtually identical to the -14, but instead it's going to have a motor on it. So the 14 is a hand crank. The -18 is going to be motorized, assuming it's set up the way it was when it left the factory. Okay, and thank you to Susie for putting my number in there again, in case we get anybody that would like to reach out and ask a question or comment. So this is the original belt that Mary sent with the machine. Nice leather belt, but it's obviously got quite a bit of wear on it. Leather starts to get brittle, it starts to crack, and it starts to become unreliable as far as a treadle belt. So there are a lot of replacement options out there with different styles of treadle belt. This is going to be a tubular rounded style one. You can see that in the shot, I think. It could be a tubular rounded style one. There's flat ones, there's wider ones, there's narrower ones, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're replacing the belt on your treadle, look at that groove that the belt's going to be riding in. Try to get a measurement on it, because you want that belt to seat into that groove nicely and not have a lot of excess movement and space where it's going to slip or slide or pivot in some way as it's in that groove powering your treadle machine, and then select that belt. Also, make sure you get one that already has, some of them do and some of them don't. Make sure you get one that already has a staple. If you can see that in the shot, it's got a staple that accompanies the belt, because you're going to need that staple. When you fit the belt to your treadle machine, you're going to have to find a way of joining those two ends like it is right here. Let's see, bring that up a little bit. You're going to have to find a way of joining those two ends. And the way you do that is you have to take an awl. You have to take an awl similar to this. You take an awl similar to this, and you have to fit the belt first of all. All of these belts are going to come pretty standard at 72 inches. 72 inches is going to be too long for nearly any treadle machine. So you'll have to fit the belt and make sure you're going to size the belt when it goes over the pulleys and over the balance wheel of the machine, that you're going to size the belt so that when you eventually cut the belt and you puncture that hole using the awl, and then you put that clip together, that it's going to have enough tension that it's not going to be slipping. It's not going to be slipping over the pulleys, or it's not going to be slipping on the balance wheel as you're trying to put that machine into locomotion. And what I usually say is, when you get the approximate length so that it will fit all the way around the pulleys and around the balance wheel, etc., you're going to want to make it about 4 to 5 millimeters shorter than the measured length. That way you can stretch this a little bit so it's nice and snug, fitting over that balance wheel. It's nice and snug fitting over those pulleys, so that as the leather inevitably starts to stretch, as the leather starts to stretch a little bit with the use of the machine, it's still going to be fitting nice and snug for a very, very long time without any slippage issues. If you fit it just exactly to the pulleys so that it's got some tension against them, but it's not really, really snug, very shortly you're going to be experiencing problems with the belt slipping, because that leather will stretch, that leather will expand, especially depending on the climate where the machine is, the temperatures and everything. So, just when you fit it, bring it around the balance wheel, fit it into that track, bring it down around the pulleys, look to see where those two parts would come together, and then cut it so that you're going to be able to have enough tension on there to maintain good traction on the balance wheel and on the pulleys as well. And when you make the hole, as you can see on this one, make the hole probably about 2 millimeters, 2 to 3 millimeters offset from the end of the other piece of the leather. You don't want to put it too close to the edge, because with the tension on the belt, and then the machine engaging and putting even more pressure on that belt against that joining point, uh, you could tear the leather very easily. So again, you'll want to offset it from the end on each side about 2 to 3 millimeters, and then you can again, using the awl, you can make that hole through there, and then bend your staple over, and then stretch that over either the balance wheel, or stretch it over that final pulley so that it's got a lot of grip on those pulleys, and it's not going to slip on you. Okay. But this is the replacement that I got, which is nearly identical to the original. And this looks like it would have been probably an original belt that would have come with this machine way back in the day, back in the 20s or 30s, probably. And this is the replacement. Same tubular design, same circumference. And then it has that built-in staple right here on the end so that it's all set. Mary will just have to cut it to fit, make that extra hole on this end once she's cut it using an awl or a tool similar to that, and then stretch it over that balance wheel, and then go to work with her first project with this Class 66 machine. So anyway, I just wanted to show this as well. These are readily available, and do some price checking. Do some price checking, because the prices are all over the board on these leather leads. Some of them are, you can just tell based on the feedback that the people have gotten from customers. Some of them are cheaper grade leather. Others are using a much higher grade leather that's going to last. And yeah, as my father would have said, I don't buy junk. So this is a nice, sturdy, well-made leather belt, and this should last Mary for a very long time. All right, let me throw this to the side. Just knocked over the doctor. Sorry about that. All right. All right, let's set these belts over there. Okay, a little bit about the setup on the machine real quick as we get ready to do our first sew-offs on it. The threading on the machine, I think, is straightforward enough, but I'll go over it real quick with you anyway, just so you can kind of see. We come off the top, the spool of thread. We come across the front here to our first thread guide right there. We then come around the tension discs. And again, always make sure your pressure foot lever in the back is in the up position so that there's no pressure on the disc. And you can tell that because when there's no pressure, they jiggle. They do a jiggle wiggle. You can see that. You can hear it if nothing else. Draw the thread nice and deep through those discs, and then come over the top of this check spring, and you'll kind of draw the thread around the check spring so that it's centered on the check spring right there. Hopefully you can see that in the shot. And I think I just got a text. Hold on a second. Okay, Christine is saying that Robin has a good question in the chat. So I'm going to step away from the machine real quick, and I'm going to look at the chat. I'll see if I can see Robin's question, and then I'll see if I'm able to provide an answer on the spot. If for some reason I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know, and we can do some research. Myself and the leaders can do some research, and then we can circle back to that question at the next live stream. Okay, so let me take a look at see if I can see Robin's question. Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, I see Robin's question now. So what Robin asked is a real smart question. A real smart question. Should you, almost like leather boots or leather shoes, should you dress the belt with something? Should you dress the belt with something to maintain a suppleness and to keep the leather from cracking or becoming brittle? Unfortunately, while it's a great idea, I don't recommend it. And I don't recommend it because anything that you dress a belt with is going to leave some degree of residue. It's going to leave some degree of residue. And the residue on the belt will create issues as far as that track over the balance wheel with the belt potentially slipping. It's also going to create issues with the pulleys below with how that belt is going to transfer and travel over those during the process of sewing. So what I would recommend is if you're concerned about the level of use you're going to be giving the machine, and you're like, well, maybe I'll wear the belt out, or maybe it's going to get into disrepair and it's going to fail. That won't happen for years and years and years and years. Again, if you buy a good quality leather belt like this one that I got for Mary, this belt without any treatment, without any additives put on it, is going to service that machine for, I would say, conservatively, even if Mary does a ton of sewing, conservatively, it's going to serve her on the farm for 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years is how long a belt like this will last. So I wouldn't recommend putting anything like mineral spirits or other things like that on the belt because of the residue issue and how it's going to affect locomotion and traction for the machine. And again, these are, if you shop around, you can get a good quality belt like this for less than $20, less than $20. And you could probably, if you did even more shopping, you could probably find a comparable belt like this, maybe even a little bit cheaper than $20. But they're not expensive. They're easy enough to install. And even if you do a ton of sewing, they're going to last you a very, 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 very long time. They just will. They're built well. I mean, look at this one. This one is not even really, well, I guess it is on this end. I was going to say this one is not even broken, but this one probably broke after about 30 years. I would guess this belt, probably this original belt that would have come from the 1920s, 1930s. This belt probably lasted about 3 decades. And it's probably going to be comparable in quality as far as the leather between these two. So figure a lifespan on these belts of about 10 to 15 years, depending on how often you use your treadle machine. Another great person to ask about this as well, from personal experience, because all he uses is a treadle machine, and it's also a Class 66. I'm talking about our friend Bill O'Rourke down in Kissimmee, Florida. Bill has had his treadle machine forever, and I'm guessing he has the original belt on there. So the next time Bill is in one of the live chats or you communicate with him in some way, you can ask him as well for his input, because I always say personal experience. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very smart. I'm very well respected in the vintage space, but I don't operate a treadle machine daily like Bill and others do. And so their personal experience is going to be even more valuable than my experience, because they work. You remember me talking about the intimacy? No one knows that sewing machine and the attributes of that machine better than the one that uses it daily or uses it often. That intimacy factor it trumps everything else. And so, yeah, the next time Bill's in a live chat, if you think about it, or if you can reach out to him otherwise, maybe by email. I know that the leaders communicate with each other via email primarily. But the next time you're communicating with Bill, ask him about his treadle belt and about his 66-1, and see what his input is. I'm sure it'll be insightful. I'm sure it'll be very insightful. Okay, so let's finally put this machine to the test. After all of my blah blah blahing, again, I've done some sewing on this machine already. I showed that to you at the beginning of the live stream. I did 100% cotton with a stiffener and had some fun with that one. Kind of see that in the shot there. Can't tell if I'm holding it even or not. I think I am. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, beautiful stitching. And then I did this saddle grade leather. And I remember asking Mary, I said to Mary, I said, would you like me to sew something in particular? I said, this is kind of my game plan. You know, I'm gonna sew a fairly wide field of materials. I'm not gonna go crazy because I'll get like a callus on my finger from turning the balance wheel. That's how I'm going to be powering the machine today. But I said I'll do some leathers. I might do some denim. I might do some protected full grain leather, like this one as well. And she just said, anything you sew with it, is going to be amazing. And so let's be amazing together right now. Let's be amazing together right now and try some stitching with this machine. All right. Should I do first? Maybe I'll do some, let's see here. I guess we could start with some elk hide. I've got this elk hide right here. It's a single layer piece, probably about 4 ounces, close to 4 ounces, 3 to 4 ounces of saddle grade leather, or not saddle grade, blah, of elk hide. This is saddle grade leather. So we'll start with the elk hide, and then eventually we'll do some saddle grade leather. We'll do some protected full grain leather. We might do some bubblegum material. We'll do some denim. We might do some compressed felt. And we might do some naugahyde as well. So that'll be kind of our plan as far as sew-offs during this live stream. So let's start. Let me adjust the camera just a little bit. There we go. Let's start with some of this genuine elk hide. And I've got the camera boom way down, so I've got to kind of pull my arm back so I can kind of come around the edge of the boom of the camera. Oh, I got all distracted. I apologize. I apologize. I almost finished the threading of the machine, didn't I? I almost finished it. I got so close. So come around the bottom of the discs, draw the thread in real deep, and then you come over the top of the, see if I can use my laser here. You then come over the top right here by the check spring, and you bring that thread right in between, like the goal post of the check spring right there. Then you're going to come underneath this thread guide right here. Do not put the thread through the hole that's in this thread guide area. Come underneath, and then you come from there up to the take-up arm, which is just off camera. There it is. Come up to the take-up arm, thread it from right to left, and then there's a thread guide down here on the faceplate. Come through that thread guide, There's a little groove in the faceplate down here, like on the last machine I showed you that just headed back to Georgia, that national machine. And then you come down to this thread guide, and then you're going to be threading this needle from left to right. You'll be threading the needle from left to right. The flat side of the needle is going to be facing the right, which means the scarf that hook is going to interact with is going to be passing around the right side of the needle as it sweeps down past the throat plate and down into the raceway. And I talked about that quite a bit on the last machine when I presented it to you, the National. So you understood the significance of why we talk about the flat side so much, why we emphasize the importance of knowing which way the flat side should go. And it's because the flat side and the scarf, which is that indentation above the eye of the needle where it looks like they cut into the needle. It's like a little groove. That little groove is to allow that hook, when it comes around, to pass very, very closely to the needle to grab that thread in the sewing process. On the opposite side of the needle is going to be a long groove that also helps to direct the flow of the thread in the sewing process. But the scarf is critical because it gives access to that hook to pass much, much closer to the needle as it sweeps down than it otherwise would be able to if you spun the needle around and put the other side facing the direction that the flat side should be facing. I hope that makes sense. It's really important you understand that, not simply that you look inside of your owner's manual and go, okay, it says to put the flat side to the left, or it says to put the flat side to the right. It's important that you understand why that's significant. So hopefully that explanation is helpful. I hope it is. All right. And the needle I'm working with today, I'll just tell you real quick, the needle that we have in the machine is a Schmetz 9014 leather needle. A Schmetz 9014 leather needle. Let me actually grab the pack, and I'll show you what we're sewing with today. So this is the actual needle that we have in the machine. Just put my hand like that, maybe that'll help. There it is. So a 9014 is going to be about middle of the road, isn't it? A size 90 is the metric equivalent or the European equivalent. The 14 is the US equivalent as far as the size of the needle. Size 14 is going to be middle of the road. If you're doing some really heavy grade sewing and you're working with a machine that, you're going to be trying to power through some crazy leather, you might want to go up to a size 100, which would be a size 16, or go up to a size 110 leather needle, which would be the equivalent of a size 18. But again, you want to fit the needle to the job. You don't want to go with what Sonny affectionately refers to as a harpoon needle if a lesser needle will get the job done. Because again, the larger the needle, the larger the circumference of that needle because of the strength and the reinforcement of the shank and the butt of the needle and everything else that comprises that needle physiology, everything that comprises that needle physiology, you want to make it appropriate to the job. So if you don't need a size 110, 18, then don't use it. If you don't need a size 116, 100/16, then don't use a size 100. In most cases, for most sewists, a size 9014 is going to be the sweet needle to have in your resources in your sewing space. It's going to be a needle that you can quilt with. It's going to be a needle that you can sew leather with and other things, especially if it's a universal needle. And it's just going to be a needle where you don't have to do a lot of changing out of the needle. So I think they're fabulous. All of you know that I'm a huge fan of the 9014 size needles. Now, another thing about the Class 66 that I didn't show you is when you're threading this bobbin in here, it's a drop-in bobbin, and it's got this cute little button right there that you can push if you want to make this pop out. So you can remove the bobbin. You just push right here, And you'll notice that that bobbin kind of goes up. It's doing a little dance. Doing a little dance for us right now. Look at that. Woo! Yeah. So as you're dropping this bobbin in, this class 66 bobbin, make sure that that thread is over the top of the bobbin when you drop it in. Make sure the thread is over the top of the bobbin when you drop it in. Now, if I pull this thread right now with the thread coming over the top when we put it in, which way do you think this bobbin is going to turn? Is it going to turn clockwise or is it going to turn counterclockwise? Will it turn clockwise or counterclockwise when I pull the thread? Because you can see it right there when I have this this sliding door open. You can see the bobbin as clear as can be. So what do you think, clockwise or counterclockwise? Oh, Bill, have a great day, my friend. Bill has to leave. Bill has to step away. And no one's jumping in and wanting to venture a guess as to which way this bobbin is going to turn. Is anyone courageous enough? Anyone courageous enough to venture a guess? I told you the way you would orientate the thread when you drop the bobbin in. The thread will be over the top. It'll be coming over the top of the bobbin when you drop it in. So when I pull this bobbin, which way do you think that bobbin is going to turn? Is it going to turn clockwise or counterclockwise? And this is a great reminder as well as we're looking at this, and we're talking about the bobbin like a clock, because most everyone tonight, when you go to bed, will be turning their clocks ahead 1 hour so that you're not late going somewhere tomorrow to church or somewhere else, unless you're in Arizona, Hawaii, and there might be a couple of other places that are not recognizing daylight savings time any longer. But for those of us that do, when you go to bed, or, I don't think most people get up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning to change their clocks. That would be kind of crazy. I turn mine ahead beforehand. So before you go to bed, turn your clock ahead 1 hour. So in that instance, we would hope, if we're going to be springing, what is it? Fall back, spring ahead, or something like, however that saying is, I don't remember, but fall back, spring ahead, blah, blah, blah. We're hoping that this bobbin will turn clockwise if we're going to be turning our clocks the correct direction, right? But what do you think? Counterclockwise, counterclockwise, counterclockwise is what Susie, Christine, and Sheila are saying. And our friend from Corinne, I think it's Corinne. Corinne must live over in Europe, and Corinne is saying it's different over there. It's different over there. We don't follow the daylight savings time in the same way. And that's true. As you move across the globe, people are going to manage things differently, aren't they? So let's pull the thread now and let's see which way this turns. Most everyone is saying counterclockwise. Let's see if you were right. Oh, you know what I have to do first? I have to raise my presser foot. Duh. Duh. Ha ha. Yes. Yes. Ha ha. Counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. You see it going? Yeah. Uh-huh. Like I said, y'all are the smartest. You are the smartest. I love it. But again, when you're dropping this bobbin in with that thread over the top, you're going to be drawing that thread to the back so that it goes underneath the tension spring that's right about where my finger is. You got to draw the thread right underneath a little groove opening and draw it all the way to the back to like the 12 o'clock position. If you don't get it underneath that tension spring, you're going to have a horrible looking top stitch because the bobbin case will not be able to maintain that stitch tension properly. Okay. Yeah, let me turn it this way so we can sew down the straight edge a little bit. All right. Also on the Class 66, like the last national machine that I showed you, when you're turning the balance wheel to initiate sewing, it tends to pull quite a bit of thread. So you don't get that little thread loopiness on the bottom like you might experience sometimes when it pulls the thread too quickly and you're basically stitching over the thread that's kind of gotten in the way. Then just hold onto the thread a little bit as you're launching, and then after you do a couple of stitches, you can let go of it, okay? So I'm going to be turning this by hand. I'm going to go ahead and launch into this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and let go of that thread now. It's not bad speed for my finger, huh? Yeah, I got some pretty good speed there for turning it with I turned it literally with my pointer finger. I was cranking it around. So yeah, some beautiful, beautiful stitching. I'll let you look at this a little bit closer up, but some lovely stitching. And again, I would recommend when you pull it, just kind of pull it to the right because of the way the needle is threaded. And that's a thing when you're sewing with any machine, take into account how you have the needle threaded so that you can draw that thread and you're not causing that needle to flex too much, because then you could possibly bend that needle just from trying to get that thread to advance as you're going through the sewing process. All right, let's give this a cut. Give that a cut. So this is our genuine elk hide. I'll kind of show it to you a couple of different ways. We'll kind of go like this first. There we go. I'm looking over my shoulder. If I get crooked a little bit, it's because I'm looking over my shoulder at the laptop. Some beautiful, beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching. I'll turn it like this as well. You kind of look at it like this. And again, look at the thickness of this. And again, I turn this with my finger. That's not a light leather, folks. And the elk hide is also chemically processed as well. And the chemical processing makes the piercing threshold even higher on this. So now we're looking at the lock stitch. Let me kind of go across on the lock stitch. And again, because of the nap of the leather, some of this might be a little bit more difficult to see unless I kind of do this, kind of pull it back to reveal the stitches. But a beautiful job on the part of this Class 66 machine from 1923. Again, this machine will be celebrating its centennial birthday in about 2 months. I think it was May 28th, wasn't it? So I'm going to throw this elk hide to the rear, and let's go on to our next sew off. Oh, you know what else I could do real quick? Let me put that elk hide back in again. I'm going to put that back in, and I'm going to show you how to adjust stitch length real quick. Get that back into place, get that down there. You get that take-up arm all the way up. There we go. I wish you could feel how easy this machine is turning. It's crazy. All right, let me move this over. I hope I don't disconnect this. I'm going to do it very, very gently, very carefully. Okay. So as we're looking at this side of the machine, this is obviously our bobbin winding system right here. I'll just kind of show you like that. This is our bobbin winding system right here. To engage it, you just push it down, and then this is going to come forward to engage the bobbin. And this little pendulum right here that you can kind of see, this little pendulum, as it's distributing the thread on the bobbin, it's going to be going like a pendulum back and forth to distribute the thread evenly on that bobbin. I really love this bobbin style. And then once it's done filling, it'll either pop up automatically or you can push on that and it'll pop up automatically, so that wheel is no longer in contact with the rim of the balance wheel. Okay. Stitch length control right here next to this beautiful badge mark now. And again, when I post the pictures a little bit later today of what this badge mark looked like when the machine came into the workshop, it'll be hard to believe that it's the same one, but it is. And I actually show you in the Facebook pictures the steps that I took to restore the beauty and the luster of this beautiful badge mark on this 66 machine. Our stitch length, when it's turned all the way clockwise as far as it'll go, you're going to get the longest stitch possible from this machine. In other words, you're going to turn this and turn this and turn this clockwise until you can't screw it in any further. And then you're going to be at right around 6 stitches per inch. When you want a shorter stitch, like we're going to be sewing next, you'll want to turn it counterclockwise. And I'm going to give it probably from the starting point, I'm going to give it probably about 3 to 4 turns. And that's the only problem with these. Some people will actually resort to putting like a black Sharpie mark on there so that they know where they started and where they stopped. They'll actually take a Sharpie and they'll mark that up with different set points so they remember where they set it for different types of materials. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to spitball it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this. There's 1, 2, 3, probably like 3.5, right? Probably close to 3.5 is what I just did. So now I'm going to attach the camera back up again. We'll stitch another line of stitching on this genuine elk hide, and we'll see what that stitching looks like. We only turned it 3 turns. You know what? Let's be rebels and turn it one, like a little bit more. There we go. All right, let me set that camera back up over here. Yeah, let's just, I don't think I had shown you the front of the machine clearly. She's quite a looker, isn't she? Quite a lovely machine, and she looks very, very young. She looks very, very young for almost being 100 years old. Almost 100 years old. Yep. All right, let me get this camera attached again. Hopefully I don't have any disconnection issues. There we go. Trying to get fairly close so you can watch this. There we go. Okay, again, I've got to kind of reach around the edge there. There we go. So again, when you're launching, hold on to the thread in the back for just a little bit so that you don't get that little bird nesting on the bottom. I'm just holding on to both threads. I'll go ahead and initiate the sewing. There's 2 or 3 stitches. I'll go ahead and let go of it now. Oops, sorry about that. Stop there for a second. I'm just going to bring the camera up a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm going to pull this out. And again, notice I'm pulling it to the right because we have it threaded from left to right. So it stresses the needle and doesn't cause that needle to flux as much when I pull it to the right. You'll see some people pulling it to the left, some people pulling it to the rear. And I always just say, think about the needle. Think about the needle. You don't want to bend or break the needle or cause something else weird to happen. So we'll call it being kind to needles. Being kind to needles. Okay. So this upper row is the one that we sewed first. We'll look at that one again first, and then right below it is the row we just did. And I would say if I were guessing, you know what? I don't have to guess. Let me actually measure it. So I just randomly turned our stitch screw. I turned our stitch screw. I'm going to hold that real still. And I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're looking at about nine stitches per inch. 9 stitches per inch right now with the random turn that I did of that thumb screw to adjust the stitch length. So here we're really close to 6. Here we're right around 9 stitches per inch. So let's take a closer look at those now. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Very, very nice stitching. Very, very nice stitching. Oops, I got too close. How about the lock stitch? Let's turn over and look at the lock stitch. So again, the top row here is going to be the one we did first. We kind of pull it back, you can see some of the stitching there. Then the bottom row here, where we have about 9 stitches per inch, that actually pops through a little bit more clearly with a nap on that bottom section there. And again, the nap and the thickness of the leather is going to vary because of where they cut it from the hide. When they cut it from the hide of the animal skin, certain areas, even in close proximity, will be thicker than others. But some beautiful, beautiful stitching. Again, not a light sew off. If you look at it from the side, probably around 3 to 4 ounces of leather is what we're looking at right here. Again, genuine elk hide. And some beautiful, I would say, page 34, if not page 34, plus stitching through this heavy leather. And again, we do have the benefit of using a leather needle today, a size 9014 Schmetz leather needle. So it's going to have a different cutting edge on that point that makes it a little bit easier to get through this leather. So I'll throw this to the back officially now, and we'll move on to our next. There we go. Almost got it. Move on to our next sew off. Let's see here. Why don't we do some protected full grain leather? And I might try 2 layers of it, even though I'll be turning it with my finger. So I'm going to get this protected full grain leather in. We'll do a single layer first. Get that into place. And I'll sew on the left side. That way, if Mary wants to try sewing this as well, she'll have room to the right of it where she can lay down her own stitching when she gets this at her farm in southern Wisconsin. Okay, so I'm going to reach around the camera again. I got to kind of be a contortionist here. Grab those threads, and we'll initiate the sewing on this protected full grain leather. The only thing I'm going to do real quick off camera is that thumb screw that adjusts stitch length. I'm going to crank it all the way back in. I'm going to crank it all the way back in so that we can get a longer stitch when we go down this protected full grain leather. I'm also going to real quick on top, just give my, on top here is my presser foot pressure. I'm also going to give this a little turn as well to increase the presser foot pressure. If you turn it clockwise, it's going to increase the pressure for heavier materials or multiple layers of material when you're needing more pressure down. If you turn it counterclockwise, it's going to reduce that pressure for lighter materials like cottons, silks and satins, etc., so that it's not pressing down against those feed dogs with quite as much force. Lovely faceplate, isn't it? And again, when you see those pictures on Facebook, you'll see that it did not look like this when it came into the workshop. But again, that's where my approach to sewing machines is very different from others. If you went into a sew-and-vac or something like that, they would put some oil on the different points. They may check the hook timing if they know how to do that, and then you would get your machine back, and it would be just as dirty and dusty and grimy as it was when it went in. When it comes to the workshop, part of the workshop magic also is the equivalent of like a spa day. And that spa day is going to return a lot of that beauty and luster and sexiness to that machine so that each time you sit down to it, it's just even more enjoyable to be with that machine because it's just beautiful and it's gorgeous and it's well kept. Hopefully that makes sense. If you sit down to a machine and it's kind of grungy and dirty and nasty looking, you're probably not going to enjoy the experience of sewing with it as much as if it's just got more of a natural beauty to it. You know what I mean? It's kind of a pride factor, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let me adjust that again. There we go. Almost got it. Almost got it. There we go. Okay, let's do this protected full grain leather. Again, I'm just going to hold these threads temporarily. All right, I'm going to let go of them now. I hear you in the background. I hear all of you in the background right now saying, go faster, Scott. Go faster. Go faster. Come on. Get a callus on your finger. What are you, a wimp? All right, I'll go faster just to make you happy. All right. All right. I didn't get really impressive speed there, but I got a little bit of speed out of that. Little bit of speed. All right, let me give these threads a clip on this end. And then I'll go ahead and draw this to the right again. So again, this is protected full grain leather, like the genuine elk hide. Protected full grain leather is going to be chemically treated, and it's going to be chemically treated so that it's resistant to staining, and it's also going to be a little bit more durable. Whenever they chemically treat a leather, when they chemically treat a leather, it's usually for one of two reasons. One is they want it to be resistant to staining, or they want it to be a little bit more durable. And in this case, with the protected full grain leather, it's going to be both. It's going to be stain resistant. It's also going to be more durable. But when you do that, you raise the piercing threshold of that leather fairly dramatically. If we look at it from the side right here, probably the equivalent thickness of that genuine elk hide, right around 4 ounces of leather. But because this is chemically treated in such a way, I always say it's harder to get through protected full grain leather than even genuine elk hide. But this 66 from 1923, again, almost 100 years old, sewed off this leather like it was a walk in the park. Let's get a closer look at it and see what you think. I can only get so close, otherwise it kind of shadows it a little bit. I'll stay right about there. I don't know what you're seeing, but what I'm seeing is a solid page 34 plus stitch. It's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch is just, it's brag worthy. I mean, this is a brag worthy stitch. With stitching like this, if Mary's sewing for her family, the stitching is going to be gorgeous. If she decides to make something that's relating to the farm, it's going to be gorgeous. If she decides to make a gift for someone, it's going to be gorgeous. It's just absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely stitching. If we turn it over, we'll look at the lock stitch. No difference. absolutely spot on as far as the lock stitch, the clarity of the stitch, the formation of the stitch, the beauty of the stitch is just absolutely as it should be. Get a little bit closer here. I know we're getting a little bit of a shadow there. I've got like a little cup thing over the top of the camera to diffuse the LED lights, but it also sometimes creates a little bit of a shadow. So that's why I'm kind of looking behind my shoulder as I'm showing you the stitching to hopefully make sure that I'm not shadowing it to make it more difficult for you to see it. But folks, those are gorgeous stitches. And now Mary, if she wants to do it, can lay down stitching right next to it. The lock stitch, the top stitch are absolutely spectacular. And again, we went through 3 to 4 ounces of protected full grain leather with me turning it with my finger. Can you imagine what Mary could possibly sew using this as a treadle machine? Treadle machines are ridiculously powerful, ridiculously powerful. I would put a treadle machine against a motor powered machine any day of the week. Matter of fact, I've been told by friends that they're able to sew through layers of leather and stuff with their treadle machines. You could never get away with doing it with a motorized machine because that belt would slip. But again, when you're fitting the treadle belt to the machine, that's why it's so critical, like I talked about getting that little bit of extra tension on there and cutting it so it's a little bit shorter so it'll fit against those pulleys and against that balance wheel track very, very snugly so that it's not going to slip on you. Okay. Oh, I meant to do something. I did it with the elk hide. Remember, I did it with the elk hide. I did a larger stitch and then I did a shorter stitch with the elk hide. So I should probably also do that with the protected full grain leather. So I'm going to slide that back into place. And then we're going to lay down, close to 9 stitches per inch, something like that. I'm just going to spitball it with turning that screw, the stitch length screw, turning it, 3 or 4 times, something like that. And I won't move the camera again. I'll just show you that what the heck, I'll do it. Hold on. So I'm going to grab our stitch length controller right here, and I'll just randomly turn it, let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, something like that. Not an exact science, you know what I mean? It's just not an exact science when you're working with that type of a stitch length controller because you're kind of guessing a little bit, aren't you? You're kind of guessing. All right, so let me wiggle my arm. If you could see, I'm kind of being a contortionist. Wiggle my arm underneath there, and we'll stitch this off and do a shorter stitch next to it now. Matter of fact, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. There we go. All right, and again, hold on to the thread when you first launch for the first couple of stitches. My finger slipped off. Hold on a second. There we go. Boy, I sewed crooked there. Oh, goodness. I seldom sew straight, and sometimes I get distracted a little bit. I go even more crooked. But thankfully, this space is open over here if Mary wants to try that out. All right, give that a clip. Get that thread back into place so we're all set to launch with our next sew off. Give these threads a clip. Okay, so you've already seen the 1 stitch row that we did. which would be the one on top. The one on top is the first one we did. The one on the bottom is the one we did second. And you can see there's a noticeable difference between those stitch lengths compared to the top row. So I'm going to move it back and forth a little bit, and then we'll actually measure it just to be curious about how many stitches per inch we got on the bottom one. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Gorgeous, gorgeous stitching. Let's go ahead and do a measurement real quick, just out of curiosity, and see approximately how many stitches we got on the bottom. And again, if you've never done this before, it's nothing, it's not rocket science at all. You just get a little tape measure, you line it up next to the stitch on the far end, and you just count how many stitches are in the spans of, that 1 inch, to get an approximate idea. So from there to there, see if I can count them. Right around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I did it again, just randomly turning that stitch length screw on this bottom row. We got right around 9 stitches per inch compared to the ones on top, where we're going to be real close to that 6 stitches per inch. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right around between 6 to 7 stitches per inch. So it just goes to show you, if you continue to turn that screw counterclockwise, you'll be able to get down into a range of stitching where you'll be real close to 30 stitches per inch. That's teeny tiny, very, very teeny tiny. But again, this is our top stitch. Beautiful stitching, lovely stitching, and our lock stitch as well. Absolutely spot on. Beautiful, beautiful lock stitch all. Very, very nice. Very nice. All right, let me throw these to the back. And now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to double our odds. I did not try this beforehand, so I'm kind of rolling the dice a little bit here. But what I'm going to do now is we did a single layer of protected full grain leather, and we did the elk hide. Now we're going to try doing a double layer of protected full grain leather. A double layer, and I'm going to be turning the machine with my finger. So if you get an idea of how smooth and silky this machine is turning now, there was a lot of rust on this machine too. I did not mention that, but you'll see that in the Facebook shots that I post later today. A lot of rust on the inside and the outside that was really holding this machine back. And now I'm able to turn it with my finger, and I should be able to turn it with my finger even going through this much leather. But this is not going to be it's not going to be an easy sew off at all. You look at that from the side. That's the equivalent of a heavy duty belt. We're going through the equivalent of a belt right now with these 2 layers of protected full grain leather. So yeah, not easy at all. And I can do it one of 2 ways. I can either do it with them back to back like this, or I can face them the same way, so that we're going with the grain going the same way on the machine. And I'll probably, for sake of turning it by finger, because this will be a little bit easier maybe if I go with the grain, I'll go ahead and orientate the leather like this. Okay, so let's get that into position. I'm not going to clip, well, maybe I will clip them so I can hold them more steady and straight. Not that it'll help me sew any straighter, probably not. Okay, so we've got 2 layers now of protected full grain leather that we're going to be sewing off on. 2 layers. Yeah. I'll pad my deck a little bit here. See if I can get these, hold those in place a little bit better. A little bit better. And I actually put them the right way this time. You see that? The flat side is down. See that? I'm sometimes a rebel, but sometimes I'm a conformist too. So, okay. So let's do this. I'm going to try to be a contortionist and reach around the bottom of the boom of the camera. And now I'm going to try to turn this by my finger. I'm going to be turning this by finger, going through the equivalent of probably close to 8 ounces. 8 ounces of protected full grain leather. 8 ounces. This is not for the faint of heart. This is a serious layer, level. That's what I meant to say, not layer. This is a serious level of sewing. It truly is. Yeah, I'll leave that like that. Yeah, all right. All right, let me give it a go. I did not test this off camera. I hope I'm not biting off more than I can chew. All right, let's give it a go. Oh my goodness. Be strong, finger. Be strong. Be strong, finger. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh man. Jim crickets. Don't ask me for more speed. I'm going about as fast as I can go with my finger right now, y'all. Going about as fast as I can go with my finger. And I am sewing like way crooked. Sewing way crooked. Oh my gosh. That needle, this is a leather needle, and it's hitting these 2 layers of protected full grain leather. Like, are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Oh, gee whiz. Oh, man. That is a serious level of sewing. That is a serious level of sewing. Gee whiz. Oh, my gosh. Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. Whoa. All right, let's get that thread back. I'm not even going to cut these threads yet on the end. Not even going to cut them yet. Just give you a first glimpse of this. Absolutely unbelievable. The quality of the stitching here, going through this much leather, cranking it by finger, cranking it with Scott's finger, is crazy. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, the glory of the stitch is just, I mean, I don't know how I would make this better other than maybe putting a roller foot or a walking foot on the machine, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it to go through this much leather. It's just insane. Let's get even a closer look at it now. What do you think? Unbelievable. Amazing. Amazing. And again, this is a machine that's almost 100 years old. Almost 100 years old. Look at the side. Oh my gosh. Are you crazy, man? Look at that. Look at that. Oh man, that is crazy. And look at I mean, it's not just that we made it through the leather. Look at the quality and the caliber of this stitching. And it goes back to the dates that I gave you all. Remember the dates I gave you? That the 201 class was introduced in 1935, but they didn't stop making the class 66 models like Mary's machine that we're working on today. They didn't stop making them until around 1956. So you do the math from 1935, when the 201 came on the scene, to basically push the class 66 out of the way. All right, great job. Here's your gold watch. Here's your gold watch. You're done. We're done with you. We're finished with you. But the public would have caused a riot, like I said, in the streets. And so they ended production in 1956 when its replacement came on the scene, the Class 201, in 1935. It gives you an idea, right, of how much people loved the Class 66 model. And is it a surprise when you see something like this? When you see something like this, is it any wonder? Any wonder why they hung on to it so long? There's our lock stitch. It's spectacular. There's no issues with a lock stitch. There's no loopy doopy. There's no lack of definition, clarity of the stitch. Try if I can get him a little closer. There, that's about it, because my little shadow thing. I mean, it's just the stitching. The stitching is just absolutely as it should be. As it should be, from one end to the other, going through this much leather, turning it with my finger. That's why the tailors and the seamstresses of the day would not have settled probably for any other machine that Singer or any other manufacturer could have offered to them. They just wouldn't have settled for it. They experienced the Class 66 and they were like, that's our first love. We're not going anywhere else. That's it. We don't need to see any other machine. We want the Class 66. And by the way, if you try to end production of it in 1935 while you're rolling out this Class 201 thingy wingy, we're going to riot the streets. So you better keep making that machine well past 1935 when you're introducing this replacement you're talking about, this 201 class. Don't even think about stop making it. And they said the same thing in 1940, 1950, and finally they conceded after experiencing the 201 for a number of different versions and variations. Finally, in 1956, they allowed them to take it out of production. But this is why they love that machine. Just look at that stitching. Unbelievable. I don't need to say another thing. It's just, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? Amazing. Amazing. Let's do some denim. Let's change gears and sew some denim with a leather needle. I do it all the time. Y'all are probably like, we love you, Scott. We love you, Scott, because you're a nut. You're a nut. You're sewing denim with a leather needle. Why not? Why can't we do it? Why can't we do it? So there's 2 layers. I'm going to go ahead and fold it kind of in the middle. That's up to 4 layers. And finally, we're all the way up. Let me show you from this side. 6 layers. 6 layers. 6 layers. Let's see if we can buzz down this with a leather needle sewing denim. Why not? Why not? We'll give it a go. All right. Get that presser foot down. I'm going to be a contortionist and reach around and see if I can catch that thread on the back. And now we're going to crank off our next stitch off, which is 6 layers of heavy grade denim. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Again, we're powering this by my my pointer finger today. Yeah. Oh boy, that's got some thickness to it. All right, let me get my arm out of the way now. Some of these sections of the denim, I'm hitting it with this needle, and this needle is saying, I'm getting a little tired here, Scott. I know I'm a Schmetz needle. I know I'm a Schmetz leather 9014 needle, but I'm getting a little bit tired here. I'm getting a little bit tired. There's our wiggle jiggle thing going on. And when you're going through this much denim, I've said this to you all before, when you're going through this much denim, you might see a little bit of a compression. You might see a little bit of a compression of the stitch. And by that, I mean, when we measured the stitch line before on the leathers, we were getting right around between, on the largest setting with that stitch length screw, when I turned it all the way in, we were getting somewhere between 6 to 7 stitches per inch. When you're sewing this many layers of denim, that feed factor is going to be impacted. And so we might see, if we measure it, we might see that we're not getting 7 stitches per inch. We're getting maybe closer to 8 or maybe even 9 stitches per inch. And the only way to remedy that, when you're talking about this much denim, that many layers, the only way to remedy that so you can get more of a robust stitch representative of the stitch setting of, say, 6 to 7 stitches per inch, is to probably look at bumping up that presser foot pressure up dramatically. Or you could also look at adapting the presser foot attachment from a standard one like we're using right now to using a walking foot or a rolling foot. And then you'll get more even feed as it's pressing down all these layers. Look at the thickness of that. As it's pressing down all these layers of this denim, you're going to get more even feed if you use a different type of presser foot attachment. But even without that, this is our top stitch. We've got a stitch that is absolutely brag-worthy. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch is exactly what we want to be seeing. Exactly what we want to be seeing. See if I can get there. See if I can get away from that shadow a little bit. All right, wiggle jiggle, no more, no more, no more wiggle jiggle. So we've got some beautiful, beautiful stitching. And again, a little bit compressed. Little bit compressed. All right, let's turn it over and look at the lock stitch. And again, when I'm turning it, look at the thickness of what we just went through. 6 layers of denim, that is not a walk in the park. Oh, I got to flip it around. So this is our lock stitch now. And again, with our lock stitch, we're not seeing any loopiness. We're not seeing any lack of clarity of the stitch. We're not seeing any skip stitches. And again, we're sewing 6 layers of denim using a leather needle, which is not the ideal needle to be sewing with. But we're doing it anyway because we're rebels, right? We're rebels. And we've got a beautiful lock stitch as well. Beautiful lock stitch. I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm not doing so good in keeping it even, am I? I better just stop right there. Just stop right there. Beautiful lock stitch. Beautiful top stitch. There it is. Beautiful top stitch. Through a lot of denim. A lot of denim. I can't imagine, even on the farm with Mary and her family living on a farm, that they would be sewing 6 layers of denim very often. I don't think so. I don't think they'd be doing it very often. But if they need to, they know that they can get away with doing it, even if they use a leather needle. So amazing, amazing. These are the sew-offs we've done so far. We haven't done a ton of them. We did the denim 6 layers. We did the genuine elk hide. We did the 2 layers of protected full grain leather. We did the single layer of protected full grain leather. So we've got a little bit of a sew-off sandwich that we're starting to do. There's our sew-off sandwich so far, along with the stuff that I did off camera. If I put it like this, I did this off camera. Again, protected full grain leather, saddle grade leather, and 100% cotton as well. So if you combine the two on what this Schmetz leather needle has done so far, that's it right there. That's it right there, which is not I don't think that this is window dressing. I don't think this is a light thing at all. We really have tested Mary's machine already significantly through all of these sew-offs. There's other people that would have stopped a long time ago, but we do things differently in the Cow Country family. When we're going to test a machine and put it underneath the bright lights, we're going to do it right or not do it at all, right? So we got a couple more sew-offs to do, and then we're going to wrap up this live stream pretty soon, pretty quick. 2 hours and 26 minutes. 2 hours and 26 minutes is what we've already done on this live stream. The time for us goes so quickly together, doesn't it? It goes so fast when we're together, especially as I make you seasick. Yeah, make you seasick. Why not? All right, so now I got some of this bubblegum material. Right? And this bubblegum material is called bubblegum material because watch what happens. It's basically like a textile slinky. It's like a textile slinky is what it is. And again, I've offered it before. Listen to, can you hear this at all? It's almost like a musical instrument. I've offered it before. If anyone wants to contact me and ask me to send them a sample, I'll do that. I certainly will. So I'm going to go and cut this. I'm going to cut this down a little bit because I got too much here. All right, let me throw that to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 layers of this this textile slinky bubblegum material. This stuff that has a lot of vinyl in it. A lot of vinyl. So I'm going to slide this underneath the presser foot. Get that into position. And again, if any of you have sewn with vinyl, you already know that it has a huge tendency to cause skip stitching. Because of the nature of the material, it just does. It manipulates the needle. It screws around with the hook being able to grab that thread as it's coming past the scarf. And it causes all kinds of havoc and challenges. But you know what? I've got a lot of confidence in my work on this machine. Probably about 14 hours of machine work. And that does include cleaning up the body of the machine and making it look a little bit prettier as well. But I think that this 66 will handle the job just fine. I really do. All right, so let's put her to work. I'm gonna do my contortionist thing of reaching around the edge. Make sure that that's in place. I hope that's all the way underneath the presser foot. You know what? Let me hedge my bet a little bit. Let me clip this. See how it's popping up? Let me clip this over here a little bit. Yeah, let's clip that right over here a little bit. Probably need 3 clips, maybe 4. I'll go with 3. We'll kind of roll the dice with 3. Hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, so we're going to go with 3 clips. I'll reach around again, contortion style, grab that thread, and let's see what we get with this tricky bubblegum type material. And I can already see that I'm sewing crooked. Hold on. There we go. I know I'm going to sew crooked. I might as well start straight, and that way I can say I went crooked, you know? All right, let's give this a go. All right, I'm going to let go of that thread, stabilize the camera a little bit. All right, here we go. Unbelievable. One of the trickiest materials that we could possibly sew. It just is. The bubblegum material is a very, very tricky material to sew. And yet, wait until you see these stitches. Again, nearly 100-year-old centennial machine, nearly centennial machine, and we're getting stitching like that right there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Again, it goes back to why they fought and said, don't you dare take away our Class 66 machine when you introduce this new 201 blah, blah, blah. We don't care about this 201 blah, blah, blah. We want to keep our 66. And that's why they hung on to it for decades after it was supposed to be out of commission. Decades. Let me clip this other thread and we'll take a closer look at it. The clips are getting pretty dull. Clips are getting dull. My scissors are getting dull. Okay, so yep, that would be correct. This is our top stitch. Let's take a look at that first. Whoops. It is like a slinky. I almost lost contact with it there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't know how I do not know how I would make this better. I honestly don't. We're committed to constant and never-ending improvement. It's our Kanai principle in the cow country family, but this is just spectacular. It's just utterly spectacular. It's just utterly spectacular. There we go. Wow. Wow. Let's turn over and look at the lock stitch. There's no difference. There's no difference. The lock stitch has as much clarity and beauty and wow as the top stitch does. And the lock stitch is always going to be more challenging. It's always going to be more challenging to get a quality lock stitch because it has to pull that thread back up through that nasty bubblegum material. It's got to pull that thread back up through that nasty bubblegum material. All right, I was going to hold it stationary because I'm going to make you guys crazy. I'm going to make you crazy if I keep trying to move it around. But it's a beautiful, beautiful lock stitch. It's an amazing, flipping it over, amazing top stitch as well. Through these 2 layers of this bubblegum material. So I'm going to throw that in our pile in the back as well as we continue to build our food feast of this crazy, crazy sewing thing that Scott's doing. So what we can sew now for fun is some of this compressed felt. Some of this compressed felt we'll do next, I think. There we go. Almost got it. There we go. Let's do some of this compressed felt. And if we do 2 layers of it, I think I'll start with 1 and then I'll do 2. Look at the thickness of what 2 layers looks like with this compressed felt. Hopefully you can see that. Let me do it like this, maybe. I think it's the color. It doesn't like green. It doesn't like green, and the camera's going, I can't see that. I'll hold it right about there. That's pretty good. Yeah. Some reason this camera does not like the color green. I remember that about some of the material we tried sewing as well. It's probably a little bit easier for it when I get that far away. So we'll do a single layer of this. It's actually quite long, isn't it? It's quite long. What would half of that look like? What do you guys think? I haven't asked you for input for a while. I'm going to look at the live chat. Should we sew the full length of this? Should we sew the full length or should I cut it in half? What do you guys think? Full length or half? Just put down full or half. And then based on the feedback, I'll either sew the entire length or I'll sew 50% of it. There we go. What do you guys think? Should we do the full length or should we do half? Emma is at work. Emma works in a hospital as a pharmacist, and she even has a sense of humor at work. She's like, how strong is your finger? How strong is your finger? Oh, that's funny. You know, I love my leadership. I love my leadership team for a number of reasons, and I love all of you for that matter. I love all of you. But my leaders are downright playful and sassy sometimes. And I love sassy people. I think they're a lot of fun, don't you? So yeah, Emma and Susie and others, they just hit me straight sometimes, like, boom! What do you think of that? How you like me now? Oh gosh. My finger's feeling pretty strong. So I think that's a subtle way of saying, stop your whining, Scott, and just sew down the doggone compressed felt. As a matter of fact, don't even waste your time doing a single layer of it. Just do two and get it over with. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll stop my whining and I'll just do 2 layers straight away. All right, presser foot is down. I'm going to put my little clips on there. Not that it's going to help me sew any straighter. Not that it's really going to help me. It's not going to help me. I'll still sew crooked. I'll still sew crooked, but we'll give it a go. All right, so let me be an origamiist. No, not origami, contortionist. That's what I meant to say. Let me be a contortionist and try to go around the edge, grab those 2 threads, and we'll start stitching down this stuff. All right, I'll let go of those threads now. Well, based on my speed, I must still be pretty strong. That Diet Coke that Renee got for me and left on the front stoop of the workshop, it must be kicking in. Yeah, I'm not going so straight here. I'm doing my best. Oh, that last one was kind of hard to go through. All right, so let's take a look at these. And again, you're going to see a little bit of a compression. This compressed felt is kind of slippery. It's a little bit slippery stuff. And so you'll see a little bit of compression, but all in all, some beautiful fullness of the stitches there. You can kind of catch a glimpse of that. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it in the shot. Beautiful stitches. And you know what? Interesting thing about this, and this will give us a chance to kind of goof around with our tension a little bit, which we haven't done. Our top stitch looks really, really good. But when we flip it over and look at that lock stitch, it's not as defined as it should be because the material, again, the compressed felt kind of goofs around with the tension balance. And we're going to have to look at bumping up our upper tension if we stitch this again, which we probably will do. Let me give these threads a clip and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And that's the deal. That's the real deal. The real deal when you're sewing through a wide field of materials is you may have to do some tweaking on the tension and or the presser foot pressure in order to maintain stitch integrity. And all in all, we did really well. We did really well. Let me show you the top stitch first. All in all, we did really well. Top stitch is exactly as what we want to be seeing. Beautiful, beautiful stitch definition. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer. So the top stitch is looking really, really solid. I would give this a page 34 plus without any reservation, especially considering the density and the piercing factor of this compressed felt. Again, this stuff is heat treated. This is not like the felt you used back in school. This stuff is like industrial grade felt. It's very, very dense. They compress the fibers using heat, and it almost galvanizes the surface of this stuff. And we're not going through one layer. If I turn it to the side again, we're going through 2 layers of this stuff. It's like sewing patio blocks. And so when you're sewing through this density, it's really easy for there to be issues with the clarity of the stitch. But we're not having that issue until we turn it over, and then we look at what impact this material has had on that lock stitch. The lock stitch, all in all, has some clarity that's trying to say, hey, I'm still here, but that material has stolen away some of that clarity of stitch with this lock stitch. It's not as poppy and defined as it could be. It's not as poppy and defined as it could be. And that's a real easy fix. It means that we have to bump up that upper tension, because right now it's losing the tug of war with that bobbin case pulling down harder, and that upper tension is not pulling up hard enough. So we're losing some of the clarity of that stitch as we're going across the material. So what do we do to fix it? What do we do to bring some greater clarity to this lock stitch as we're going through this real thick 2 layers of this compressed felt? What do we do? What do we do to bring back some of that clarity? Again, not bad at all, but it can be better. I'm going to leave it just like that and look at the chat real quick to see what y'all are saying. Elliptical. Yes. Scott's finger has been doing push-ups. Now, what would that look like? I mean, seriously, what would push-ups for a finger look like? I mean, I'd like to get a visual on that. Is it like this? Wait. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Now we're going to do clapping. Yeah! Oh, you guys are a hoot. Yes, exactly. We need to bump up upper tension, don't we? Upper tension needs to get bumped up just slightly to see if we can impact and bring greater clarity to the stitch on the bottom, as it's working really hard to give us clarity. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to slide this back underneath. We're going to stitch it one more time, and we're going to bump up that upper tension just slightly. All right. So all I'm going to do is go right up to here. Now, the only challenge with this upper tension unit is it's not numbered. It's not numbered. And so you're kind of spitballing, kind of like when I was adjusting the stitch length over here with this thumb screw. You're kind of spitballing. You're kind of guessing. How far do I need to go in order to offset the weakness of that lock stitch. Do I go a half a turn? Do I go 3/4 of a turn? Do I go a full turn? And my experience does help because I've seen this scenario before, but it may not be spot on because, again, it's not numbered. You can't just say, well, I think I'll go to this point right here. I think I'll go from 3 to 5. We don't have any numbers. There's no numbers. So we don't know what it is. We just have to kind of eyeball it and kind of guess a little bit. So here's my best guess. I'm going to go about a half a turn. I'm going to go right around a half a turn. We're pretty close where we're at, but we're not far enough. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it clockwise right about a half a turn, something like that. I just gave it a quick little spin. And so now we're going to go after this again. And it may not be exactly what we want to see, but it'll be closer than it was the first time. All right, let me adjust this down again. Okay, there we go. So I gave it about a quick little half a turn. Nothing incredibly scientific about it. Nothing incredibly scientific at all. All right, let's give it a try again. See what we see. Here we go. Again, our goal is to see our top stitch looks great right now. This is our top stitch. What impact has our slight adjustment on that upper tension done as far as bringing greater clarity when we turn this over and we look at that lock stitch? Kind of excited to see if we went far enough. We might not have gone far enough. We might not have gone far enough. And again, the other factor is, I'll just explain this real quick. When you're adjusting to getting greater clarity on that lock stitch on the bottom, you don't want to go crazy and go too far because then you'll take away from the clarity of the top stitch. Remember, it's a tug of war back and forth. And if you take too much away from this, you'll improve the bottom and you'll defeat the clarity of the stitch on top. Looks like we're good so far in the top stitch. We still have good clarity. Okay, the big moment. The big moment is we're looking at the stitching here. This is our second row that we just did here. This is our second row. We still have a good looking top stitch. So we didn't go too far, but did we go far enough? Did we go far enough to have better clarity on that lock stitch? We'll know shortly, won't we? We'll know shortly. So here's our two stitch lines right here. Great looking top stitch, great looking top stitch. Now, when I turn this over, I'm going to rotate it towards the camera. The row on the top will be our second row. The one on the bottom will be our first row. Let's see what we got. Hopefully we got a little bit closer. Yeah, we definitely did. We could still go further. We could still go further. But if you compare these two with this being our first stitch line down here on the bottom, and this being our second stitch line up here, we definitely have an improvement as far as the clarity of the stitch. I'll bring it a little bit closer to the camera so you can see it. Here on the bottom row, we really had a lack of definition overall. Here, that's starting to come into line very beautifully. And again, it might require one more adjustment. And if we were sewing this compressed felt all day long, we would make the additional adjustment, but we're not going to do it. We're going to know what we would want to do if we did it and just see that we definitely have improved from the lower row to the top row. We definitely have made an improvement. I'll get a little bit closer to the camera and show that to you. Look at that top row. You can see that stitch really starting to come into form very nicely. So it's a great lesson, isn't it? It's a great lesson as you're battling what most people do around the world, and that is you're going between different materials and you're encountering challenges with maintaining proper tension. Either your top stitch is not as defined as you want it, or the lock stitch is not as defined as you want it. You know what to do. If it's a top stitch that needs greater clarity, then the simplest thing is to back off this upper tension. If you want more definition on your top stitch, then you back this off. If you want more definition on your lock stitch down here, then you're going to look at bumping this up. Usually you can maintain tensions just adjusting the upper tension. More definition top stitch, decrease. More definition lock stitch, increase. And that way you can get a great outcome depending on, the materials that you're migrating from. Whether you're like us, you're going from leather to cotton to compressed felt, or whatever other transitions you're making, what the adjustment is. So again, we won't be making any more adjustments on this right now. I think we've gotten some great improvements on this, making that adjustment with that top row. Our top stitch is bang on. So just a couple little tweaks. There it is. A couple little tweaks, and we would have this compressed felt conquered. But since we're not going to be sewing a ton of it, we won't spend any more time making tension adjustments right now, just so we know what to do if we wanted to do it. All right, let me give that a clip. I'll add this to our pile in the back, which looks like this right about now, on camera, off camera. Most of this was done on camera. This is our sew-off sandwich so far. So let me see what our time is. Yeah, we're quickly approaching 3 hours. And I love my time with all of you. And I know that you love spending time with me and spending time with our other friends in the family. But we will try to wrap this up pretty quick. We will try to wrap this up so that we can move on with the rest of our Saturday. Yeah. So I've got Naugahyde left. I've got Naugahyde. I've already done bubblegum material. So I'm not going to sew any more of that right now. And I've got saddle grade leather. So I think that's what we'll do to wrap up this live stream. We'll do the Naugahyde, which is nasty, tricky stuff. This is even worse than the bubblegum material because of that vinyl that's in this stuff. And then we're going to do the saddle grade leather. We'll do a single layer of this. And then we'll also do a second layer as well, 2 layers of it. So we will have sewn some leathers at a very high level. And we can say that Scott's finger is pretty doggone strong. You know what? Don't mess with Scott's finger. It'll get you. It'll get you. Gonna get you. All right. Well, let's do the Naugahyde first. And I'm debating if I want to do 1 or 2 layers of this. What do you guys think? Should we try 2 layers of this Naugahyde material, or 1 layer? And this is that man-made stuff that is a wannabe leather. It wants to be leather like this saddle grade leather, but it's not. It's fake. It's a fakey. It's a fakey. That's not a real word, I don't think. It's a faker. It's a faker. Yeah. This Naugahyde is a wannabe leather. It's not. So we can do 1 layer of this Naugahyde, and then we can do 1 layer and then 2 layers of this saddle grade leather, or we can just jump right at this and say, I'm going to try to do 2 layers of the Naugahyde. What do you guys think? Put a 1 or put a 2 in the live chat. A 1 or put a 2 in the live chat for this Naugahyde. Do we do 1 layer? Do we do 2 layers? 2 layers. Candido is saying 2 layers, please. 2 layers. I missed what Mary wrote something. I don't think that's not Mary the owner, is it? Mary the owner had her first and last name, unless she has two profiles. That's a different Mary, isn't it? I think that's a different Mary right now. But we'll do 2 layers because that seems to be the consensus. We'll do 2 layers of this. And again, my trick with sewing this Naugahyde fake leather stuff is to put this textured side down against the feed dogs so that we get a little bit better traction. At one time, I tried sewing it like this, and it was a little bit of a nightmare because the feed dogs couldn't grip this slippery Naugahyde surface. So we're going to put the other side down, and we'll try sewing that, see what we think. All right, get that over there. All right, right there. Lower the presser foot. I think I'm going to use my little clips on this too. We're going to clip this stuff. Clip it right there. Oh, that's too far in. Right there. Clip it right here. Clip it right here. And since we're sewing, I had highlighted the fact that this is the fake leather. This is the real leather. And since my good friend Candido is still here, I'll also show you this. If you somehow missed it in the other live stream, Candido does leather work and had sent me this beautiful wallet, a hand-tooled wallet. And I told a story about my mom ruining her hand-tooled purse from Mexico because she tried to sneak chicken out of a buffet in her purse, and then it kind of leaked through the napkins, and it got all over the leather on the inside, and it soaked all the way through and ruined it. But this is the beautiful, I'll open it up like this. This is the beautiful, I've got it upside down. I think I have it upside down. This is the beautiful hand-tooled wallet that Candido made for me. Candido is out in New York and even put my initials right there. Isn't that spectacular? And this is real leather. This is not Naugahyde like we're about to try to sew. This is real leather. The real deal. Look at the workmanship in that. Incredible. And Candido also right now is working with me to add a Swedish beauty from the workshop to his personal collection. And I have no doubt that he's going to try to sew leather like this with his Swedish beauty eventually. There's the inside of the wallet right there. And I joked when I introduced this the first time, I joked in the other live stream. I said, I don't have this many credit cards. I'm not a credit card guy. I don't have this many credit cards. So I'll never fill all of these, but I could put my driver's license or something like that in there as well. But what a spectacular talent and what a generous gift. Again, with this incredible wallet that Candido made from the great state of New York. So thank you again for that, Candido. What a thoughtful, generous thing to do. What a generous thing to do. And his note was so gracious. He basically said, Scott, accept this as a gift, basically. You do so much for us. I just do what I love. And I love spending time with all of you and sharing and learning from you as well. So what an incredible kind thing to do. Don't you agree? What an incredible kind thing to do. Okay, so let's do this. Yes, a library card is a great idea. And I've got one of those. And if you don't know it, the workshop is right next to the public library in Oconto. The workshop is literally right next to the public library in Oconto. So I can never argue effectively that I'm turning in a book late because I couldn't get it back in time. I mean, really? Even if there's a snowstorm, I walk around the fence, around the side of the building, and I'm at the library. I'm that close. So yeah, I better keep my library card near the front so that I'm even more accountable in getting the library book back on time. Yeah, I better do that. Do it. Yeah. All right. Let me get that in place. Get that down again. There we go. All right. So I'm going to hold on to that thread to give us an initial launch. Let me check my camera angle. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Grab that thread, be a contortionist. All right, let's do these 2 layers of this tricky, nasty, naughty Naugahyde. This is naughty Naugahyde, naughty Naugahyde, naughty Naugahyde. I better say it slower. I'm going to spit on myself. Naughty Naugahyde. And we're going to go through 2 layers of it. And then we just have a few sew-offs after that. Let's see what we think of this. I hope I was holding onto that thread. I kind of got distracted. Otherwise, you'll see what the little bird nesting thing looks like on the bottom. And you're going to notice this stuff as I'm sewing it, because of that vinyl. Watch in the back there. It's going to start curling. It's going to start curling up. It's not going to lay flat. It's going to be like, no, I don't think so. I don't want to lay flat. I want to curl. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to curl. Oh, yeah. It's got a mind of its own. Oops, focus, Scott, focus. You're starting to sew. I'm sewing way off, man. Sewing way off. All right, I'm going back on course now, sort of, kind of. I better separate that. Yeah, I went off. I did my typical thing. I went off the material. All right, let's check this out. Let's check this out. So beautiful, beautiful top stitch. And you know what? It's a good thing we didn't adjust the upper tension back again when we were fighting that other material. What was it? The bubble gum? No, it wasn't the bubble gum material. Whatever we were fighting before, I lose track. But anyway, we were fighting that other material as far as the vinyl content. Maybe it was the bubblegum material. And we bumped up the tension a little bit. You see what? No. It was a compressed felt. It was a compressed felt we were battling. I need to drink more Diet Coke. I need to drink more Diet Coke right now. So we're battling compressed felt, right? And so we bumped up the upper tension to try to get better definition on that lock stitch. I'm glad we didn't adjust it back. This is an equally challenging material with that vinyl content to keep a nicely defined lock stitch. And we're in the right direction with this, from what I caught a good quick glimpse of. A quick glimpse. All right, let me give that a clip. So a really nice looking top stitch that I'm seeing so far. Let me kind of draw this out a little bit and kind of draw it around. This is our top stitch with this tricky, naughty Naugahyde stuff. Pull a little bit more. There we go. Kind of hard to see it a little bit. There we go. Can't get too close or it's shadowed. It's kind of like this awkward balance, isn't it? There we go. I got the right angle and I got the right lighting right there. I'm going to freeze right there for a second. I'm running out of thread. Let me pull the thread a little bit further. I didn't have enough thread pulled. I'm literally holding my breath right now, trying to get this at the right angle. All right, I give up. I'm going to get a cramp in my finger. So beautiful stitching. This is tricky stuff to see the angle of a little bit. There's probably other angles I can turn in and stuff so you can see it. But a beautiful top stitch, managing a very difficult material. And then as we turn it over, we're looking at the lock stitch now which all in all is really quite good, but it could be better. And we would look at, if we were sewing a ton of this, kind of like the compressed felt, we would bump that upper tension up even a little bit higher than we did. But all in all, we're getting some nice clarity on that stitch starting to pop through these two thick layers of this naugahyde material. These two thick layers. You can see our top stitch right there from the edge, sort of. There's our top stitch. There it is. There it is. Hello. Hello. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful top stitch. You can see it from that angle very well. And then if we angle this down a little bit, you'll be able to see that lock stitch. It's popping through in other parts. It's a little bit weaker than it needs to be. And that would just be a simple bump the upper tension up. Bump the upper tension up. All right, I'm not going to belabor this because it's kind of hard with this material to see it, but you were able to catch a glimpse of that lovely, lovely top stitch. And the lock stitch, you can kind of see it against that backing as well. So I'm going to give this a clip, move this around, and we'll add this to our pile of sew-offs that we've done both on camera and off. But see what I'm saying with this stuff? It's not curling nearly as badly as it usually does, but you can see those edges right there kind of curling up because of that vinyl that's in there. All right, let's wrap this up sewing some saddle grade leather. Why don't we do that? And I've got 2 layers, and then I've got a single layer. We'll do a single layer, we'll do 2 layers, and then we'll bring this live stream to a conclusion right around 3 hours is how long we've been together. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? It's mind-blowing because our time together goes so fast. So we'll start with a single layer, and then we'll do these 2 layers immediately after that. The 2 layers we're going to sew, you can get an idea of what we're going to be trying to go through. And again, this is saddle grade leather. This is not garment leather. This is not naugahyde. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. And we're going to be doing probably, that looks like probably about 8 to 10 ounces of leather that we're going to be sewing. So keep your fingers and toes crossed. This needle is getting tired, and we've really been pushing it pretty hard. We've been pushing this needle pretty doggone hard, even for a Schmetz needle. All right, almost got it. There we go. I'm going to stop right there. All right, let me be a contortionist. I'll grab that thread around the edge, and we'll lay down our last 2 sew-offs, this one and then the 2 layers following it. Here we go. I know, faster, faster, faster. Go faster, Scott, go faster. Okay, there's our single layer of saddle grade leather, which the machine, Mary's 1923 machine that's about to turn 100 years old in a couple of months, makes it look so doggone easy, you wouldn't even know that we're sewing saddle grade leather. I mean, we buzz through it like it's a hiccup. And we lay down stitching like that. I'm just going to pause right there. That is brag-worthy. That's brag-worthy stitching right there. That's absolutely brag-worthy stitching. That is stitching that, you know what? You call your neighbors over and you go, you know what? I know it's 10 o'clock at night. I know it's 10 o'clock at night. And we had the time change, which makes it even worse. But I just stitched this saddle grade leather using Mary's machine, and you got to come over and look at it right now. Hello? Hello? Yeah, they hung up on us, but that's their loss. If they don't want to see stitching like this, That's their loss. Yeah, it is. It's their loss. We turn it over. Our lock stitch. Let me just kind of wiggle it around there. There's our lock stitch. Folks, that is, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is, call the neighbors again. Call them back. Call the neighbors back and say, you got to come look at this. You got to come look at this right now. Come look at it. Because that's gorgeous lock stitching as well. And again, even a single layer, for goodness sakes, is like 3 or 4 ounces of leather. 3 or 4 ounces of leather. So between the lock stitch and the top stitch, have your neighbors on speed dial. Have them on speed dial because they need to see this. That's upside down, isn't it? Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. The neighbors need to see this. All right, enough blah, blah, blah. Let's throw this to the back. Obviously, it's off the charts, gorgeous. Now we're going to try to do our final sew off, going through the equivalent of twice this amount of leather through these two right here. So that's what we're going to be attempting. And why doesn't Scott do this at the beginning? Why don't I do this at the beginning when the needle is still really, really sharp? Why not? Because we like to push the boundaries. We like to really, really push this machine. You don't get to the live stream because you just elected to do it. You get to the live stream because you earned your place here. And Mary's machine has earned her place here to be able to sew at this level. Yeah. All right, let me get that in place. And now we'll do our final sew off. And hopefully I can stay relatively straight. No promises. No promises. Wow. Ah! I could look at this all day long. I could look at that all day long, even though the camera is wiggling. I don't know why. Are you happy? Is that why you're wiggling? No more wiggling. No more wiggling. Yeah. All right. Throw that back over there. Yeah. Yeah. You guys wouldn't get me a Diet Coke, but Renee got me a Diet Coke. Yeah. This one right here. Yeah. I'm going to take a sip of this right now. Thank you, Renee. If you're still watching, Renee, thank you so much. That was such a thoughtful thing to do. Such a thoughtful thing. All right. Where is the camera turn? There we go. We're turning like that. Trying to get a little bit closer on this last one, just to be more dramatic. Just to be more dramatic. Get a little bit closer. All right. So I'm contortionist, reaching around. I'm going to bump the camera probably. Hold the thread. Final sew off. Let's get this done. Let's get her done. Holy mackerel. What did I decide to do here? Oh, boy. This turns really, really easy, but I'll tell you one thing. You know when you're going through this much leather when you're turning it with your finger. You know. Matter of fact, you know what? For fun, let me stop right there for a second. Hold on. Trying to get the right angle. Hold on. There we go. There's the right angle. Ha ha! All right. All right. So finger, right? I had to blow on my finger. It was actually on fire. There we go. Jiminy crickets. Mary, what did you do? What did you do? Folks, that is crazy. That's just crazy. Totality of the stitching. 2 layers of saddle gray leather. 2 layers of saddle gray leather turned by my little finger. Yeah. Not my little finger. That would be like my pinky, right? Folks, that's gorgeous. Mary, clap for yourself. Mary, come on, kiddos. If the kiddos are still watching this with mom out on the farm, if you're still watching this with mom out on the farm, clap for mom right now because this is a sweetheart of a machine. Clap for mom. Somebody clap for mom, please. Yeah. 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 Wow. Wow. Jeez Louise. Jiminy. Jiminy crickets. Crickets. Jiminy. Wow. All right. You've seen enough of the top stitch. It's like, are you kidding me? And look what we just went through. Close to 10 ounces of leather. Now here's our lock stitch. Let me kind of spin this around here. Folks, that's a page 34 plus lock stitch through 2 layers of saddle gray leather. Oh my goodness gravy. Oh my goodness gravy. I shouldn't have said gravy in front of the kids, but I did. Kids don't like gravy usually. But my thanks again to Mary for the opportunity of having this nearly antique machine in the workshop to do crazy stuff like this. Unbelievable. Let's look and see what we sewed on camera, off camera. And then we're going to wrap this up. Unbelievable. Is there any wonder at all why Singer, with the threat of their factories being burned down, did not discontinue the 66 in 1935 when its replacement, the 201, came on the scene? Any surprise? All right, we got a choice here. All right, boys and girls, we got a choice. We can either keep making the 66 machine, the class 66 machine, or they're going to burn our buildings down. What do you think? Yeah, I agree. Let's keep making it. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that. Yeah. All right. So here's our sew off sandwich. The official sew off sandwich with all that we did. Most of it was on camera today. Most of this was on camera. That's what it looks like right there. And like there. So for review. Yeah, that's a pretty good angle. I didn't even plan that. I'm starting to figure this boom thingy out. Jiminy crickets. Okay. So compressed felt. 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Elk hide. 2 layers of protected full grain leather. Nasty stuff. Boy, that's tough. Single layer of protected full grain leather. Another single grain of protected full grain leather, and I did all kinds of crazy. Hey, let's see how small it can get, Mom. Let's see how small we can make it. So yeah, I did all kinds of. That was kind of fun, wasn't it? Yeah, that's not even close to how small this machine will sew. You go a lot smaller than that. Okay, I'm distracted. I know. Saddle grade leather, 100% cotton, bubblegum material, nasty naga hide, more saddle grade leather. Oops, they just knocked the pile over. It's so tall. Stay there, guys. Stay there. There we go. Stay right there. Stay right there. Stay. And then finally, our last sew off that we just did, the 2 layers of saddle grade leather as well. Yeah. All right. That's it. Oh, timber. No, don't tip over. We're still on camera. Stay right there, right in the center of the bed. Right there. Mr. Bean, can you hold this? Hold on a second. Thank you. Yeah, okay, you can come over here too. Hold on. All right. All right, guys, you guys hold that. Don't let it tip over again, okay? Please. All right. Well, Mary, thank you again for joining us. Thank you to the leadership team for managing the store. And I still have to find out from the leaders what kind of happened. They had to deal with something that was inappropriate. Blah blah blah. I'll be interested to get a text from Christine or from Susie. Kind of let me know what happened, because at this point I'm still kind of in the dark. And we will make arrangements for Mary to come out this way and pick up the machine. Hopefully this week she can make it out here and pick it up. I'm very limited on space. A lot more machines coming in. A lot of referrals from Joanne's as well on a Marinette. So I'm a busy beaver and I need as much space as I can get. So we'll make that arrangements. And this base right now, if you were kind of admiring this base, this would certainly fit the machine. And then there would be a bentwood cover that would go over the top of it. But this base is just one that I have in reserve in the workshop for machines like this that do not sit level. A Class 66 does not sit level on its own. That's why it has to be in a base or has to be in a table. So let me set up the timer. I'll look at the live chat real quick. I don't think there's anything that I need to respond to. Otherwise, one of the leaders would have sent me a text. And I will get our timer going so we can do our official countdown. This live stream to a conclusion. And thank you to all those that joined today, even if you stayed in the shadows. Even if you stayed in the shadows, a lot of our folks that are in the live chat now started in the shadows. So don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about being in the shadows. Stay there as long as you want to, as long as you need to. And then eventually, hopefully, you'll step out, introduce yourself. Everyone is going to make you feel like a rock star and welcome you. And we're genuinely excited to have you here, whether you're in the shadows or whether you join the live chat. So let's see. I got to count this down to 1 minute. Remember, again, if you're in an area that you're supposed to do it, remember to turn your clocks ahead tonight. Remember to turn your clocks ahead so you're not late going somewhere tomorrow. I'm going to set this right here. I think you can still, you can kind of still see it. Move it over there so it's not blocking. There we go. It's not blocking Mary's machine. Yes, Mr. Bean. Yes, Mr. Bean. They can still see you. Give them a wave. Wave to Mary's kiddos. Yeah. You do that so fast, you can't even see it happening, but I know you're doing it. All right. Countdown starts now. God bless everybody. And thank you again to the leadership team. Thank you to the moderating team for being such a blessing in making folks feel welcome and also dealing with things when something is going in the wrong direction. And from what Robin said, you all were on it like a blink. So if somebody's being naughty, they better get ready to feel the weight of your hammer. Yeah. Thanks again to Mary as well. Thank you for her kiddos and other family members that may have joined. It's such an honor to have this great machine that soon will be celebrating her 100th birthday. So there you go. 17 seconds left. And the live chat will stay active for a little bit if you're in the middle of a conversation. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and remember to turn your clocks ahead. Turn your clocks ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I love that music. That's music. Play, baby, play.